You are looking at Raider Field. The sky is St. Joe blue, the turf is Northridge green, and these two Northern Indiana schools get together for the first time in 22 years on this edition of the 46 Game of the Week. How you doing, everybody? Between the Indiana Football Hall of Famers, Bob Nagel and Bo Hunt, it's Chuck Freeby, and it's great to have you with us for another weekend of high school football on TV 46. St. Joe Indians had a struggle last season. They only went 2-8, and then they lost a heartbreaker last week to Concord, 31-30. But Brian Witten really believes his team made some progress in that game against the Minutemen, and he thinks this might be the week where they turn the corner.
A lot of things could have changed the result last week, but one thing they did put in the offseason was in the weight room. The guys really worked hard. They got a lot of good leadership, and they're all in. And they got a junior quarterback in Ashton Roskowski, who's a really good leader. Tim Flanagan's a good running back. They got the entire offensive line back from a year ago, which is a rare commodity these days. And on defense, a young man named Boyer is really a good player. And their secondary is experienced. So they've got three linebackers who are really good. And when you think about having a guy like Connery and Appleton and also McFadden, that's a pretty good group to draw to. So they're ready to go tonight.
Bob talked to Brian Witten just moments ago.
Well, it's going to be a heck of a game. Coach Rogelman's got his guys riled up and ready to go, and we wouldn't want it any other way. Should be an instant classic again, hopefully. Got to make sure that we execute the deal is what we call it. We've got to make sure that we protect the football. We've got to make sure that we minimize the mistakes, and we've got to make sure that we just represent St. Joe the way we're supposed to be.
Tom Wagaman's Northridge team comes into this game with a record of 1-0. They downed South Bend Adams last week. And Tom says that his team really does have a chip on its shoulder this year, and one of the things they're trying to do is play with a lot more physicality.
And I think last year one of the biggest problems in that 4-7 record was they just lacked physical strength and size, and they've all grown up. They've all been in the weight room. A couple guys came to my eating camp this summer, I think, and got bulked up. But they've got a great story in Nick Cooley, the quarterback. Broke his ankle on our air a couple years ago. Played last year with limited mobility, and now he's back. He's had all the tools removed from his ankle, and he's ready to go. They've got an outstanding running back in Connor Graber, had 3 touchdowns last week. They've got 10 seniors on defense. Not many mistakes over there, and each one of the guys in the secondary had a pick last week. And I know one thing, Tom Wogelman has his team ready to go for tonight's action.
These are teams, although we haven't seen each other, and they've looked at us for 1 week in a scrimmage, and we've seen them for 1 week in a scrimmage. They're both teams that are hungry. We're both teams that didn't have much success in 2016, and so we're still trying to find ourselves. And so you look at the week 2, as the saying goes, the big improvement. How much do you make from week 1 to week 2 is going to be key.
Bo Hunt with us on the sidelines as always. Bo, we mentioned the fact these two teams haven't played in 22 years, but they're no strangers to success recently. However, that wasn't the case last year. Do you get a sense both these teams have a little something to prove in 2017?
Well, I think they both have something to prove this year. And, this is the third NIC, NLC matchup that we've had in a row. And they see that and they understand that. These are two conferences that are the premier conferences in this area the bigger schools are playing in. And they want to represent their conferences as well. And so they come in here tonight. It's not just St. Joe against Northridge. It's the NLC versus the NIC. And they want to prove something out here tonight as well.
Should be a fun one. We look for a whole lot of cracking and a whacking, and we'll tell you all about it in our pregame show with the Jordan Automotive Keys to Win next on the 46 Game of the Week.
This is the WHME TV 46 High School Game of the Week, brought to you by Indiana Criminal Justice, IU South Bend, TCU, Jordan Automotive Group, Bethel College Admissions, Hawkins Water Tech, Electrical Workers Local 153, Crown Trophy, Bill's Heating, Imagineering Finishing Technologies, Ruoff Home Mortgage, and the IHSAA.
This edition of the TV 46 High School Football Game of the Week is being brought to you by the Jordan Auto Group. Simple, easy, stress-free. That's the Jordan way. Welcome, everybody, to the Thor Industries pregame show as we get ready for Northridge and St. Joe from Middlebury tonight. The St. Joe Indians running out onto the field. Let's look at their key players, and we'll start with their quarterback, the junior Ashton Roskowski, who last week was 10 out of 14 for 118 yards, but he also ran for 67 yards, so a very talented young man, and he'll get help in the backfield from Tim Flanagan, the speedy 5'9", 175-pound senior. raced for 119 yards on just 8 carries last week and can also bring pressure from the defensive end. The keys to win for the Indians.
Well, number one, they got to win the turnover battle. You can't give the opponent any help, especially when you're on the road. They got to cash in on money downs. That's third down on defense. Get a stop, get off the field, or on offense, third or fourth down, you got to convert. And they want to carry on the tradition. They're working to get this program back to that elite level and the respect that they've earned over the years. Brian Witten in his second season, 2-9 overall, but got this team moving in the right direction.
Meanwhile, for the Northridge Raiders, they have a senior-dominated ball club, and one that Tom Wagaman says is fun to coach. One reason is he's got a senior running back by the name of Connor Graber, 5'11", 200 pounds. Last week, he ran for 131 yards and 3 touchdowns in the win over Adams. And then they've got Nick Hooley back at quarterback, healthy and ready to go after having a hardware store taken out of his ankle. 10 for 16 a week ago for 113 yards for Hooley, who also brings some pain for you from the linebacker position. The keys to win for the Raiders.
Well, Chuck, they've got to be more physical, and they can be. They spent a lot of time in the weight room in the offseason, and it's a big factor as they really struggled last year with size and physicality. They've got to avoid early turnovers. They want to avoid deficit play calling. It's tougher to come from behind, of course, and they want to show progress. And the most teams show usually in the season is from week 1 to week 2. They want to build off the success they had last year. Tom Wogelman, 29-18 in his 5th year at Northridge High School. In fact, we get a look at the series history, and this one, as you mentioned, goes back 22 years since they met. St. Joe leads the all-time series 2-1, first meeting in 1989. Last time they met, St. Joe a big winner, 35-6. A memorable night on October 27th of 1995. Were you there?
It did start their state tournament run that year, and Frank Amato was the coach of that team. He would later come over and coach Northridge for a few seasons. As you see the reenactment of the coin toss, St. Joe has won the toss and deferred, and Northridge will wind up receiving the opening kickoff. Our weather tonight brought to us by our friends at Reshcore. The Middlebury Chamber of Commerce couldn't have drawn up a better night. 71 degrees, a gentle zephyr out of the east at 4 miles an hour. And, well, there's no chance that there's going to be any rain tonight because there's not a cloud in the sky.
And one of the things we saw coming in, people were wearing sweatshirts, and I said, you know, you're probably a little toasty right now, but you're going to need that when we get done. It's supposed to drop into the 40s tonight. So by the time we get done, it'll probably be well into the upper 50s. But what a great night for high school football. And our thanks to the athletic departments at both schools, and they did a great job and ready to go here. Beautiful conditions, beautiful facility, and a great crowd. I think, you know, St. Joe's crowd a little bit later arriving, but they introduced the senior band members, cheerleaders, football players tonight a little bit early in the year for senior night, but they wanted to get out of the way when the weather is conducive, and they had a great night for it tonight.
Reshcore sponsors our opening kickoff by St. Joe's Andy Hahn, who's got a very good foot. 5'8", 180 pounds, and a senior. Northridge getting ready to send its return team in there, and when they do, you'll see Connor Utley as the deep man for the Raiders along with Julius Graver. So just about ready for football on this beautiful night. You see St. Joe in the white with the Columbia blue numbers. Northridge in their home dark jerseys, they're, well, metallic gray, but they've got green and gold stripes and green and gold numerals. Hahn has it on the tee. The official blows the whistle, and we're ready for another night of high school football on TV 46. High spinning kick taken down at the 5 by Utley. Utley with a stop and go move, still on his feet and out to about the 27-yard line. And apparently the fireworks within the student body are the new en vogue thing. We saw it at Rice Field last week. We see it here tonight, which might mean we'll be lucky to see our first play of the night.
Some of that powder floating around there. Great to see the reaction of the community in support of the team, and great to see so many people out here for a great high school football game.
Not sure why the clock is still running when we have a change of possession, but okay. Now the official finally waving his arms to stop the clock.
Yeah, you got to run that baby back about 20 seconds. I don't think that opening kickoff took too much time, but they're going to leave it right there.
They'll run the pistol here with Nick Hooley. He hands off in the backfield and nothing doing. Ball popped loose and Northridge is able to pounce on it. Graber recovered the fumble. And let's take a look at the Northridge starting offense. It's a veteran group led by Hooley, who you see there. Mason Troyer and Connor Graber's the back. Good core of receivers headed up by senior Brad Schwartz. The offensive line with 3 returning starters. Carson Deal, Adam Lance, and Micah Yoder are those 3.
Going to get a gain of 2 yards on that mishandled play.
So again, it's Hooley out of the gun. Looks to throw, now will tuck it under, and Nick Hooley runs straight up the field to the 36-yard line before he's brought down that time by Dominic Appleton on the stop. It'll be 3rd and about 4 for Northridge as you look at the St. Joe defense. Across the front line, Joey Gillis had a good week last week. The linebacking core very active, led by Drew Boyer, the senior. Secondary is a very young group. 2 juniors, a sophomore, and J.P. Lewis and James Eck, the only senior back there. We'll see if they get tested here on 3rd, and we'll call it 2 from the 36-yard line.
Tell you one thing, when Hooley runs the ball, you're going to get hit.
And a flag thrown and a whistle blown. They were going to do a direct snap to Connor Graber that time, but I think St. Joe might be offside. So an encroachment flag against the Indians will give Northridge a first down, and it's brought to us by Jimbo and Company Transport.
Ruli's of Middlebury is proud to support Northridge Athletics. Ruli's is a family-owned dining Italian-American restaurant offering a full menu including pastas, entrees, and pizza. Visit them at rulispizza.com or at either one of their 2 locations in Middlebury across from the high school or in Elkhart on County Road 17. And a big thank you to Team Ruli. They fed our TV crew tonight. They say go Northridge Raiders.
Handoff to the tailback. That's that's Connor Graber that time. And Graber runs for 9 yards. It'll be 2nd and 1. Graber, who is also an outstanding wrestler, went to the state finals last year, finished 7th at 182 pounds. And you see the leg drive there. He ran right over James Eck.
10 yards on 2 carries for Graber. Good start to the ball game for him. 11 yards.
2nd and 1. Northridge coming out and just trying to play some smash mouth football early in this one. Handoff again, lots of room to run on the left side, or the right side, I should say. And running up the field is Mason Troyer. You'll meet him at halftime as our student athlete of the week, but he picks up 16 on the play. Down to the St. Joe 35, gets the first down for Jimbo and Company Transport, and nobody was able to lay a glove on Troyer for the first 15 yards of the run.
Good use of the backfield there, and they're not attacking the entire St. Joe defensive line. They're just going at one side or the other and trying to pick their matchups.
It's Graber to the right of Hooley, Troyer to the left. So it's Graber with the handoff, bounces off a couple of tacklers and plows forward for about 4 or 5 yards. And again, he's getting some great blocking up front that time from Carson Deal and Adam Lance. Deal 255, Lance 210. And really, Carson Deal, the biggest man on the field tonight. And Tom Woggeman says, we're not used to that. But it's an undersized defense for St. Joe, and Northridge obviously feels like it can take advantage of that.
Doing a good job getting off on their assignments.
Now Hooley wants to throw on 2nd and 5, going deep for Utley, but overthrew him. Utley was covered man for man that time. Tried to break away from James Eck at the end, but the ball overthrown. It'll be 3rd and 5.
Looked like our linesman over here on the near side might have pulled a little calf muscle or hamstring. He was limping down the sidelines. We'll see how he's doing tonight. We'll get a look at our officials' names here in just a moment. We haven't had a penalty. Well, we did have one penalty, didn't we?
We did, but we had other things to talk about as well.
As will be the case from time to time.
So 3rd down and 5. Hooley is going to give it to Troyer. Troyer can't slip away from the St. Joe defense this time. And the Indians are there to make the stop. Coming up and making the hit that time, it looked like it was Michael Godfrey who made the tackle. And he had help from Casey Connery, as you'll see it on our Bethel College admissions replay. Connery actually the first man to get there. And our officiating crew tonight, well, it's led up by Adam Tomlinson with help from Scott Sanchez, Lars Sequitney, Barry Woodward, and Mike Acton. 4th and 6, and Northridge will go for it from the St. Joe 31. Hooley with time to throw, fires and has his man for a first down. Could be a touchdown. It is. Connor Utley with the touchdown for Northridge, and the Raiders are on the board. First touchdown pass of the year for Hooley as Utley catches a little slant and takes it to the house, and you get another look from Bethel College.
Put two receivers in the same area, and the defense a little confused, but Utley did a great job, kept his balance, ran right through a couple of tackles, gets in the end zone.
So Nolan Laughlin will come on to try the extra point. He was 2 out of 3 on these last week against South Bend Adams. A 4-minute 13 march to pay dirt for the Northridge Raiders, and Laughlin will cap it with an extra point that's up and good, and Northridge grabs the early lead. Nick Pooley to Connor Utley, a very steely connection here as they go 35 yards for the touchdown. 7-0 Northridge on 46. This edition of the 46 Game of the Week brought to you in part by the Indiana Criminal Justice Institute, who say, whoa, don't text and drive. And the Middlebury Community Schools happy to sponsor the touchdown by Northridge at 7-0.
Scoring drive goes 73 yards in 8 plays, 3 first downs along the way, including 1 by penalty. And it took 4 minutes and 13 seconds for the Raiders to get on the board, leading 7-0. 7:47 left to go in the first quarter. Chuck, a big play there. 2nd down and 8, and they threw a pass, or 2nd down and 6, threw a pass that was incomplete. Put them in a bad situation? Not really. You at that point, they're in 4-down territory. They had 2 plays left. They used the second one extremely well.
Kickoff sponsored by TK Steel. Nolan Laughlin puts the boot to it, and St. Joe will have the return. Jimmy Verhiley gets to the outside. Jimmy Verhiley still on his feet, past the 40 and out of bounds near the 43-yard line. An outstanding return by the St. Joe receiver Verhiley, the 5'11 senior who's a track man, and he showed some speed there.
TK Steel proudly supports the Northridge Raiders and wishes them good luck in tonight's game and all season long. TK Steel would like to give a shout out to 2 special seniors. Number 20, Connor Utley, and number 15, Nick Hooley. They just hooked up on a scoring pass. Have a great year, fellas, from your friends at TK Steel.
So from the 43, it's 1st and 10 for Ashton Ruskowski and the St. Joe Indians. 2 backs in the backfield, Tim Flanagan and Vincent Gudermuth. Movement along the line of scrimmage. Northridge may have jumped. We'll see what happens here on the call. There's the encroachment, and that gives us a chance to meet the St. Joe offense. We told you about Flanagan and Gudermuth in the backfield. Drew Sutton, Jimmy Verhiley, the top receivers on the team. As Bob mentioned, 5 starters at one time or another back on that offensive line, led by Michael Godfrey, the right guard. On 1st and 5, it's Flanagan up the middle, and he's got the first down into Northridge territory at the 45-yard line. So Tim Flanagan ran the ball well last week, has the first down, sponsored by Urban Swirl and Granger. Let's meet the Northridge defense. And along that front line, the Yoders, Micah and Nick, had very good games last week. In fact, Nick had a couple of sacks. The linebacking core, a veteran group led by Connor Graber, the senior, who was all-conference a year ago. In the secondary, 3 seniors there as well, and 3 players had interceptions last week, Graber, Utley, and Carson. 1st and 10 from the Raider 45. And this time they'll go up the middle with Vincent Gudermuth on a little bit of an ISO run, and he picks up 6. There's not a whole lot fancy about the St. Joe offense. If you talk to Mike Logan, the Northridge defensive coordinator, he'll say it takes you back to the 1980s, but that's to be expected because, well, that's when Phil Teagarden was coaching at St. Joe, and his son Dennis is the offensive coordinator.
Dennis also was a very capable special teams coach at a couple different places, including Elkhart Memorial, and I'm thinking he might have had something to do with that good kickoff return. 2nd
and 4, Ruskowski throws to the near sideline and overthrows Jimmy Verhiley. It's incomplete, and it'll be 3rd and 4. Well, we talked about the experience quite a bit on this Northridge team. There's a reason for it. They have more seniors than Miller's Mary Manor. They got 20 of them, along with 2 juniors.
Nice problem to have, and again, a lot of guys who paid their dues last year want to have a sensational senior year, and I think they've got a chance. Both these teams really worked hard in the offseason.
So it'll be 3rd and 4 for the Tribe. And 3 receivers to the left of Ashton Ruskowski. Flanagan in the slot. Ruskowski hands it to Gutermuth, who dances through a hole but did not get the first down. He stopped about a yard and a half short. And it'll be 4th down and decision time for Brian Witten.
Got a feeling it was 4-down territory for the Indians there, too. They're just a little bit outside the range for Hahn.
Hahn tried a 55-yarder at the end of the Concord game last week and was short by only about 2 or 3 yards. He did connect on a 46-yarder. So Bob accurate in the comment, as usual. Just outside the range of Hahn, and St. Joe will go for it here on 4th and 2. Split backfield behind Ruskowski. It's Flanagan. Up the gut, and I don't think he made it. Northridge's defense feels really good that they may have stopped him as well. Flanagan pounding the football in disgust, and the referee indicates it's Northridge football.
I like the play call. The execution was great by the Northridge defense. Boy, they came up big. Got a yard and a half just short of the first down.
The linebackers doing a beautiful job, not only of filling the hole that time, but holding their ground and not letting there be any bit of extra push. They had Carson Deal back with the linebackers that time, and he was able to hold the ground right there.
2 minutes on the possession for St. Joe.
So 1st and 10 from the 36 for Hooley and the Raiders. Connor Graber, the lone back in the backfield with him. And we've got flags thrown and whistles blown, and I think there's going to be a false start here on Northridge.
Looked like Northridge got off a little bit quick.
By the way, our first quarter tonight brought to us by our friends at the Middlebury Community Schools.
Interested in improving all areas of your fitness program or sport? Join the new Strength and Conditioning Center in Mishawaka, Beacon Sports Performance. They offer youth, high school, and adult performance training. The coaching staff at Beacon Sports Performance will push you and ensure you perform the movements with the proper form. Visit beaconhealthandfitness.org today.
Kyle Carson brings the play in from the Northridge sideline. Hooley hands off to Connor Graber. Big hole up the middle. Look out. Graber in a foot race. Connor Graber just short of the end zone at the 3. 66 yards for the senior. Riley Hacker finally brought him down from behind. You get another look. And again, nobody laid a finger on Graber as he went right through the middle of the St. Joe defense.
Northridge has a pretty good scouting report. They found a couple of weaknesses in that defensive line so far and have been well balanced going right and left.
1st and goal from the 2. Northridge striking quickly in this one. Connor Utley brings the play in from the sideline. And movement along the line for St. Joe will bring it a yard closer.
Took a real test here for St. Joseph. Last year, Coach talked about how last year when things would go sideways, things would go against us when we get down, and we had trouble coming back in the game. I think this is a different group. I would expect them to bounce back and give this a good effort all night.
Well, that's why St. Joe jumped, is because the center brought the ball back, and that's why there's going to be a 5-yard penalty here, I think, against Northridge. If the officials saw what our cameras saw, it will be against Northridge. But they didn't.
They have moved it down to the 1. Let's see what they're going to talk about.
It'll be half the distance to the goal against St. Joe, but take another look at this replay from Bethel College, and here's why the lineman jumps. Watch the center move the football. Hey, he moved the ball. I'm going to come across. Well, official didn't see it. Lots of times you don't see the first violation, so that's what happens.
Second penalty on St. Joe for a total of 6 yards.
1st and goal from the 1, and all that time Connor Graber had a chance to catch his breath. Hooley nearly dropped the snap, picked it up, takes it in for the touchdown. Nick Hooley with the touchdown, his first of the year running the football. We haven't even played 6.5 minutes, and Northridge has taken a 13-0 lead. So Nick Hooley, who had 8 screws and 2 plates taken out of his foot, 5 dislocations, over 200 fractures in that foot. That was his sophomore year. Finally, here in his senior year, he feels good and ready to go as Nolan Laughlin's extra point is up and good. And you'll get another look at the Hooley touchdown as we go to break. First, it was Graver going 66 yards into the red zone, and then Hooley keeps it himself, takes it on in. 14-0 Ridge on 46. This edition of the 46 Game of the Week brought to you in part by IU South Bend, fulfilling the promise.
Well, St. Joe, obviously plenty of time. You're going to get down to 14-0. You want to do it early, but they haven't played badly. A couple of big plays by Northridge. I'd say Northridge has played better than St. Joe so far, but the Indians got to get something going here, but they can't panic. You can't get 14 points on one play.
TK Steel sponsors the Nolan Laughlin kickoff. The 6'1", 160-pound junior will kick it deep to Jimmy Verhiley and Vincent Gutermuth. Verhiley had a nice return the last time. We'll see if he can duplicate the effort here. Laughlin's spinning kick taken by Verhiley, shy of the goal line. Verhiley trying to get to the outside, nothing doing this time. Much better coverage by Northridge, and they bring him down at the 18-yard line as Jordan Contreras came racing down the field to make the tackle.
Contreras, an interesting story, transferred here to Northridge from Concord. They also have another player, Rowan, who transferred from Elkhart Central. Not bad when you bring in some players who can really help you right off the bat.
So St. Joe will have to see if they can figure out a way to get some points on the board here. They trail 14-0 early on in this one. Ashton Ruskowski only threw 1 pass on his first possession. They were having success running the ball, and then Northridge stiffened up for a 3rd and a 4th down stop. Now Ruskowski wants to roll out and throw and finds his man open, but falling down with a football is the intended receiver, Vincent Gutermuth. He goes down at the 23-yard line after a pickup of 5. For Gutermuth, that's his 2nd catch of the season.
First completion of the night. 1 out of 2 for Ruskowski, and good call by the coach. Get him a completion, get him a little confidence going.
Ruskowski, a very mobile quarterback. He has had a few starts already in his St. Joe career. Even as early as his freshman year, he started in the game against Adams when Tony Carmola was banged up. 2nd down and 4. Now it's a running play. It looks like Flanagan with the carry. He picks up about 3 that time, and St. Joe will be looking at a 3rd and 1.
St. Joe with that little pitch sweep, we see Penn run that for years and years, and it seems like it should have better leverage than it's gotten results. And give credit to Northridge, they're reacting well, and their linebackers are doing a good job. And you're seeing a lot of the same guys in that linebacker core as you see in the offensive backfield.
St. Joe really keeping it in between the tackles here so far in the early going. 3rd and 1. Short yardage, they might go to Gutermuth here. We'll see. Nope, they kept it on the ground with Ruskowski, and he picks up the 1st down as Ashton is able to pick up 2. Ashton Ruskowski, a young man who was welcome to the Irish invasion this year. Brian Kelly's recruiting event for underclassmen. So Ruskowski, being a local guy, gets a visit and hoping to take advantage of that experience as he goes forward.
Maybe one of his teammates here at St. Joe tipped off the coach, you think?
Could be. There's a Kelly on the roster.
Kinzel Kelly, a member of the St. Joe Indians.
Now Ruskowski will run from the shotgun, flanked by Flanagan and Gutermuth. Ruskowski with time, loads it up, wants to throw downfield. Jimmy Verhiley with the catch. And Verhiley goes out of bounds into Northridge territory. A beautiful ball that time by Ruskowski. They'll spot him out of bounds at the 43, a 28-yard pickup as you get another look from Bethel College.
He had plenty of time back there too, Chuck, to look around and found Verhiley.
Joey Rowan had the coverage that time for Northridge and knocked Verhiley out of bounds. So Verhiley has certainly had a big game early on, but St. Joe's got to be able to parlay this into some points. Roskowski under center, hands it off. That's Gutermuth. Gutermuth trying to drag the tacklers with him, couldn't quite do it. Picked up about 4 on the play.
Good looking runner, big strong kid.
Hard to drag that fella. Carson Deal, 255 pounds, a young man right there. And take another look as he came over, grabbed Gutermuth by the shirt tail, and that was all she wrote.
Imagineering Finishing Technologies is a world-class metal finishing company specializing in plating, coating, testing, and consulting services. 58 years as the knowledge source for metal finishing solutions. Reach us at info@iftworldwide.com.
Roskowski has Flanagan wide open and hits him on a little rollout. And Timmy Flanagan going down the sidelines gets knocked out of bounds, but we have flags coming in behind the play, so hold everything. Flag thrown up at the 30-yard line. It might have been a block in the back.
Rule changes, we went over them last week a couple times, but you can't block in the back anywhere. It used to be some time in the box, line of scrimmage box, you could do that, but not anymore.
It's a personal foul called against St. Joe, and boy, that's a really tough penalty for Brian Witten and his team to have at this point. Let's see if we can see it. I'm told on the left side of the screen here. And watch Roskowski throw the ball. This will be down the field, down by the 30-yard line as Flanagan takes off running. And I'm not sure we're able to see the penalty anywhere in there.
Penalty took place around the 30, so they walk it back now to the 45, which results in about a 2-yard loss. It'll be second down and about 12.
Well, now Roskowski in a situation where they'll be looking for him to throw the ball. Drops back, a little screen, but nobody was there. I think he might have been thinking about a tight end screen to Drew Boyer, but Boyer was blocking. So it's 3rd and 12.
2 out of 4 so far in the night for Roskowski.
And the Northridge defense, which came up with that big 4th down stop earlier in the first quarter, trying to come up with another stop here on what Brian Witten likes to call the money down.
Need to pick up 7 or 8 here if they're going to have a chance to go for it on 4th down. Otherwise, I think they'd probably have to punt it. So a big play coming up here for the Indians.
For Hiley, who's had the big night so far, split wide to the left. And Roskowski looking that way, but now he'll try to scramble. Ashton Roskowski up to the 39-yard line. He picks up 6 yards on the play. 4th down, and I believe St. Joe will try to punt from here.
Roskowski did a good job. Their game plan has been to protect the football. Don't throw it into coverage. Don't risk turning it over. If we got to punt, we got to punt. But that good job by Roskowski. Picked up some good yardage.
So Petey Hahn comes on to punt. Hahn averaged 43 yards a kick last week in the game against Concord. But here he'll be looking to push it out of bounds near the goal line. High hanger, but fair catch being called for, and it's made back in the end zone for the touchback. So Northridge will get it 1st and 10 at the 20. Let's go downstairs for a Bills Heating sideline report. Bo Hunt down there tonight. And Bo, Northridge leading this one 14-0. What's impressed you about the Raiders so far?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is their balanced attack. They're able to do it on the ground, in the air, with running the quarterback as well. Whatever they need to do, they're able to do it. And defensively, they've been able to step up on big downs and stop St. Joe. So that's been crucial in this first quarter as well, guys.
By the way, Pete Hahn's punt was, Andy Hahn's punt. He's got a brother named Pete.
His dad named Pete too.
But Andy Hahn's punt is sponsored by our friends at Rescore.
Took that last scoring drive for Northridge. They went 64 yards in 2 plays, took 15 seconds. Helped by a couple of penalties. Got in the end zone, so it didn't take them long. 4:13 on their first drive, 15 seconds on the second drive.
1st and 10 from the 20. Man in motion. Hooley will keep it on the fake jet sweep. Hooley trying to get to the outside. Cuts inside of one tackler, and finally Riley Hacker brings him down after a pickup of about 7 or 8.
Tell you something about Nick Hooley. At 210 pounds, you're not going to get him with an arm tackle.
And actually, I stand corrected. That was Julius Graber who's getting some time at quarterback. Tom Wagaman said that Graber would get some time in the first half and the second half tonight. And that's Julius Graber on the carry that time. He was the starting quarterback when we saw Northridge last year in their playoff win against Wawasee. 5'9", 160-pound junior. So Graber on 2nd and 2 hands it off, and Connor Graber, no relation, makes it maybe back to the line of scrimmage.
Well, you'll mark it at the 30, and if the lines are straight, that's got to be close, just short of the 30.
I'm not sure. Well, they called it a first down. So 1st and 10, and the first down sponsored by Jimbo and Company Transport.
Northridge over 100 yards rushing here in the first quarter.
Julius Graber, very talented safety on this team, has a great presence and attitude in the huddle. And getting time at quarterback on this series, up 14-0. Here's another flag thrown. And let's see who this one will be on.
That one's got to be on Northridge. A couple of guys in motion that time.
So that'll make it 1st and 15. A little bit of a sloppy start on both sides to this one, but the penalty on the last drive really did in St. Joe.
10 yards penalties for Northridge. 8 yards for St. Joe in penalties, but on 3 calls.
Connor Graber bringing the play in from the sideline. Or actually, that's Aiden Berger coming into the game now. Berger's 6'2", 205 pounds, and he'll be split out wide to the left. Man in motion. Again, the fake sweep. Graber couldn't quite cut to the outside. Good ankle tackle that time by Dominic Appleton, the linebacker. He's a young man that missed a lot of the season last year with a broken leg. And a very talented specimen, 6'3", 215 pounds, and he made a good tackle that time.
Folks, get a last taste of summer this weekend at Bonnie Doon Drive-In on Lincoln Way. They're open 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7 days a week through October. Stop in for a St. Joe Sunday and a Bonnie Burger this weekend. Bonnie Doon Drive-In wants to wish St. Joe a fantastic game and a great season.
2nd and 13, likely our final play of quarter number 1. Handoff here on the left side. Not much running room that time. Pickup of about 3 or 4 for Mason Troyer, and that's going to do it for quarter number 1 from Raider Field in Middlebury. This one has been all Northridge. A touchdown pass from Nick Hooley and a run from him as well. And the Raiders lead St. Joe 14-0 after 1 on 46. This edition of the 46 Game of the Week brought to you in part by Bethel College Admissions. Bethel College, preparing you for lifelong service. Chuck Freeby, Bob Nagel, the third member of our crew, Bo Hunt, down on the sidelines with the Bills Heating Sideline Report. And Bo, the Thunder and Lightning backfield there, Mason Troyer and Connor Graber. Graber known as the Thunder, but he's brought the Lightning tonight. He's a very impressive athlete, isn't he?
Yeah, he definitely is. What a great run he had earlier in the game. Wasn't quite able to get all the way down to the goal line, but he isn't quite known for that. He's more known for the power. But, you know, what a great combination they have at running back. And now you can see they're kind of working in a different quarterback as well with Graber and Hooley. And so they're getting that aspect as well. In case one of them could possibly go down in the season, they'll have 2 quality guys back there as well, guys.
All right, thanks, Bo. And an impressive first quarter for the Raiders, Bob.
It was rushing yardage, especially, Chuck. 121 yards on the ground for Northridge, 30 for St. Joe. And the Indians a little more success passing, but they need to stop here on 3rd down.
3rd and 8. Julius Graber will tuck it under and run, and Graber close to the first down, but he didn't quite make it. It'll be 4th and 1. And let's see if Tom Wagaman's a gambling man. He played an Adams team last week that went for it 12 times on 4th down. Didn't punt once. Here you're up by 14. You're looking at 4th and about a yard in your own territory. And I think Tom's going to go for it here.
Well, I don't know how you can do that. There's nothing that would get St. Joe in the game quicker than a stop here on 4th down.
Jordan Contreras comes into the game with the play. Play clock is down to 7. Graber's going to have to hurry him up. And then they go from a shotgun on 4th and 1. Snap, handoff, and he didn't make it. So St. Joe's defense comes up with a big hit. It's Charlie McFadden, the defensive end, who roared across and make the stop. And St. Joe in business at the Northridge 38.
Wow. Could that be a momentum swing? Did Graber carry the ball?
No, they gave it off here to Connor Graber. Yes, so A. Graber carried the ball. I was thinking Julius, but it was Connor. And look at Charlie McFadden get in there and make the stop. Charlie had a big interception in the game last week, and if that last name McFadden rings a bell, well, his Papa Terry sits on the anchor desk sometimes with me when I'm filling in over at WNDU. He's recovering from a bad hip. Fortunately, Charlie does not have Terry's hips.
You know, I told Terry to carry that wallet in the other pocket.
Here's Roskowski looking to throw, has time, finds his man. That's Flanagan coming out of the backfield. Nice little move to shed a tackler and get the first down up to the 25-yard line. It's sponsored by Urban Swirling Granger, and Tim Flanagan, who is definitely the fastest man in that backfield, gets his 4th catch of the year. You get another copy from Bethel College.
14 yards on the completion and getting momentum going St. Joe's way.
Well, good move by Flanagan to shed the tackle effort by Mason Troyer and get down to the 24-yard line. And I, like you, partner, am still stunned that Northridge went for it on 4th and 1 and then lined up in the shotgun rather than under 7. Here's the handoff to Gutermuth up the middle. Oh, did he get slammed down? What a tackle that time by Carson Deal. And Gutermuth is slow to get up. Carson Deal just twirled him around. Deal is a wrestler. And man, look at this body slam right here as he took Gutermuth down hard.
Oh, he did. He can do that. He's a big fella. Gain of a yard on the play. Well, they're talking over. I'll tell you that Thor Industries isn't an RV brand. It's a family of some of the most well-known RV brands in the country. From pop-up campers to Class A motorhomes, Thor brands lead the industry in RVs that help you go your own way. Learn all about RVing and find the RV that's right for you at ThorIndustries.com.
They're keeping Gutermuth down on the ground. We'll be back and update you on him when we come back. 10:49 to go first half. Northridge up by 14 on 46. This edition of the TV 46 High School Game of the Week is brought to you in part by Ruoff Home Mortgage. Proud of our hometown teams and proud to be a part of the community. Whether you're ready to buy a home or need to refinance, be sure to stop by in Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio or RUOFF.com. Garrett Gutermuth walked off the field under his own power, but you can kind of see that he is in a bit of a groggy state right now over on the St. Joe sideline, and the trainer Anna Roberts standing right by him. So they'll keep a wary eye on him. In the meantime, St. Joe has the ball 2nd and 8 at the Northridge 22. And another flag thrown on this one.
Encroachment again.
So that'll make it 2nd and 3. John Driscoll has checked into the lineup to take Gutermuth's spot. Driscoll, a 180-pound sophomore.
And 1/3 of a great group of triplets in that Driscoll family.
So now St. Joe looking at 2nd and 3, and let's see if that changes the play call at all. Drew Sutton flexes out wide to the right for the Indians, past the bottom of your screen. Roskowski rolling to his left, throws, and Flanagan couldn't haul that one in. It was on the money, but that's a tough catch for a running back going that way. And Bo, let's go to you on the sideline, Bill's Heating sideline report. For a running back, you're trying to run, catch that ball over the shoulder while looking into the sun. What's the degree of difficulty on that from 1 to 10?
Yeah, that's a tough play right there, trying to catch that over when you're running in that direction, because you're still trying to catch the ball and then turn upfield to get the first down or potentially some more yards or even a touchdown. So that is a very difficult play, and they've run it a few times here in the first half, and we'll see if maybe that leads to something further downfield that they can hit, guys.
Meanwhile, 3rd and 2. Roskowski looks to throw, and this one is dropped as well. Driscoll couldn't hang on.
Wow, wide open. Good call. Good execution by Ruskowski, and Driscoll thinking about heading upfield before he made the catch.
But again, as we take another look at this one, courtesy of Bethel College, you're trying to turn your body while running away from the ball. I just think that's a really difficult play for a running back to make right now. And now they're going to bring on Andy Hahn to try the field goal from 34 yards out. Hahn last week, 1 out of 2. He hit a 46-yarder. The snap is good. Ruskowski puts it down. The kick is up, and it is good. And the St. Joe Indians are on the board with 10:02 to go in the first half as they narrow the gap to 14-3. Courtesy of Andy Hahn, who last week, that 46-yard field goal that he hit, well, that was the 3rd longest in St. Joe history.
And he's in the top 5 already, all-time kickers at St. Joe with most of the season left to go. Outstanding effort. Great execution.
By the way, the field goal sponsored by Bonnie Dunes Drive-In. And the kickoff that Hahn will do here is sponsored by Reshcore. Little surprised that St. Joe kicked the field goal?
Got to get something out of that. It's almost like a turnover when you stop them on 4th down in their own territory. So they got something on the board. It's 14-3, and you get the goose egg off of there. And you know, in baseball, that's always the toughest one to get off of there.
Well, speaking of baseball, St. Joe, the state champion in baseball last year. Good job on the snap that time by Ruskowski, the holder, as he was able to pop that back up in time for Hahn to put it through the uprights. And for him, 34-yarder, absolutely no problem. He had plenty of distance on it.
108 on the drive for St. Joe that time. They picked up 21 yards on 4 plays, had a first down in there, and the field goal, 34 yards.
So Hahn gets ready to kick it deep. Connor Utley, one of the deep men back there for Northridge. Hahn with a high spinner. Utley backing up will take it in the end zone for the touchback. And so Northridge will have it 1st and 10 at the 20.
Wouldn't it be great to work for a company where their employees are the most valuable asset? Well, now's your chance because Reshcore is hiring. A locally owned company that handles custom plastic extrusion applications, offering excellent benefits that include medical, dental, and 401k. Working for this steadily growing company is a career. Learn more about joining the Reshcore family. Visit Reshcore, that's RESCHCOR.com.
10:01 to go. Let's see, it'll be Nick Hooley coming back in for this series at quarterback after sitting out the 3rd series of the game in favor of Julius Graber. Hooley with a touchdown pass and a touchdown run tonight. And here's another solid run by Northridge as Connor Graber takes it for 9 yards up the middle of the field before he's brought down by Casey Connery.
92 yards here in the first half for Connor Graber.
Graber last week ran for 131, and that was his career high.
I'd say that number might be in jeopardy tonight.
He's off to a great start, and this is senior year. 2nd and 1, flags thrown as Graber is stood up. Ball pops loose. Does St. Joe have it? The Indians say they do. The officials say they do.
There's confusion in the backfield for Northridge. He had a couple of guys moving at the same time. And I think they thought maybe there was going to be a stop and play, but play continued, and St. Joe looks like they came up with the football.
Well, let's take another look at it, courtesy of Bethel College. Graber trying to pick up extra yards. Connery was the one who popped it loose. And then I think it might have been Drew Boyer who was able to pop on top of it.
First turnover of the ball game, although that stop on 4th down seemed like a turnover, and all of a sudden momentum's wearing the white jersey tonight.
Driscoll, the lone back in the backfield along with Ruskowski. Ashton Ruskowski with time to throw. All the time in the world. Now he's going to tuck it under and run. Nice stop and go move. Ruskowski out of bounds at the 18-yard line. Pickup of 12 on the play and a first down sponsored by Urban Swirl of Granger. And that was the nightmare for Northridge defensive coordinator Mike Logan tonight, was the ability of Ruskowski to run.
He's a heads-up player, and again, working with Dennis Teagard, the offensive coordinator, about not making mistakes. If the guy's not open, don't force it. See what you can do, and if nothing else, you can throw it away. But if you got a chance to run, he's a good, strong athlete. Picked up nice yardage there in the first down.
So Ashton Ruskowski, and you had a story about the Canadian do-rag that he wears.
Yeah, his mom's from Canada. He said he's trying to learn the Canadian national anthem for vacation purposes, but said he's proud of his Canadian heritage.
Driscoll takes the handoff. The sophomore powers for maybe a yard on the play. It'll be second down and 9. Nick Yoder, the senior defensive tackle, a three-sport athlete, comes over to make the stop. Nick also on the basketball and lacrosse teams here at Northridge. Number of lacrosse players for both these teams.
Driscoll 5'10", 155. Average speed, average size rather for a sophomore, but good speed, so getting a look in there.
Drew Sutton and Jimmy Verheily go out as receivers to the left, and it's Verheily who takes this catch. And Verheily can't get away on a nice open field tackle by Connor Utley. Utley, the safety, all Northern Lakes Conference basketball player last year, but he made a fine football play right there.
I'll say it's a no gain on the play, a loss of 1.
It was a play when it opened up that it looked like Verheily was going to have a lot of room to run. So it'll be third down and 10 for the Indians with less than 8 minutes to go here in the first half.
Andy Hahn over there warming up that leg.
Might be needed again. Ruskowski throws it down the field. What a catch! I think that's Isaac Romans down there, the tight end. And Romans makes a beautiful grab down at the 1-2 yard line. The 6'3" senior with his second catch of the year, and this ball was thrown perfectly by Ruskowski. Watch it again.
Right down to about the 1 yard line. Good market at the 2. Boy, that's a nice route and a nice catch.
Utley making the touchdown saving tackle on Romans.
26 yards on the completion.
Flanagan and Driscoll in the backfield. Ruskowski drops the snap as the whistles blow, and everybody pointing at everybody else. It's like asking who did it in your own house.
Jimbo and Company Transport, where you get paid to travel the country. If you have a 1 or 3/4 ton truck, a 1 ton or a 3/4 ton, contact Jimbo and Company Transport in Middlebury at 844-56-JIMBO. And like us on Facebook. Well, what a great way to see the country and make a buck as well. Jimbo and Company.
Encroachment, a 1 yard penalty against Northridge, our second 1 yard penalty of the night. St. Joe had one down at the 2 as well. So first and goal from the 1. Ruskowski to Flanagan, touchdown St. Joe. Tim Flanagan with his second touchdown of the year as the senior takes it in from 1 yard out. And the Indians close to within 5 at 14-9, and they'll bring on Andy Hahn for the extra point. The touchdown sponsored by Bonnie Doon Drive-In. Watch it again. Great blocking on the right side of the line. Driscoll made a nice lead block that time for the running back position.
I feel like both teams are getting pretty confident in what they can do and what they want to do.
So the swinging gate here will be used by St. Joe, and they'll set it up for Andy Hahn. And really, Bob, this game seems to have pivoted on the 4th down play by Northridge, where they went for it back at their own 40 and failed to make it. Hahn's extra point is up and good. 6:52 to go before halftime, and all of a sudden, St. Joe back in it. The fumble recovery by Drew Boyer, the touchdown by Tim Flanagan, and it's a 14-10 Northridge lead on 46. Friends, this edition of the TV46 High School Football Game of the Week is brought to you in part by the Indiana High School Athletic Association, partnering with TV46 for 27 years. Chuck Graby, Bob Ninglebow, Hunt back with you at Raider Field in Middlebury. 14-10, Northridge with the lead. Our kickoff here sponsored by our friends at Rushcore.
Chuck, one of the points you just made, again, we talked about it when they stopped them on fourth down in their own territory. That could be a momentum swing, and it certainly was, and St. Joe's had the momentum. On the sidelines, the Northridge Raiders wanted to go for it. Coach, we think we can get it. Let's go for it. Didn't get it, changed the momentum. Now it's back on Northridge to turn that momentum back in their favor and hold, have their coaches back.
Andy Hahn with the kickoff. Connor Utley will take it over at his 5-yard line. Utley hurdles over one tackler, but can't get past all of them, and he's taken down at about the 23-yard line. 18-yard return that time for Utley, and it'll be 1st and 10 for Nick Hooley and the Raiders.
TCU's Financial Empowerment Program can help your students develop a game plan for their financial future. With TCU's easy-to-use online tools, students will learn how to save and to spend. Let TCU help them to get to the top of their game by visiting tcunet.com/empower. TCU is federally insured by the NCUA, and they also sponsor our Student Athlete of the Week, which will be coming up at halftime. A couple of outstanding representatives once again.
And we'll look forward to that on the Ruleys of Middlebury halftime report. So Northridge, after the fumble by Connor Graber, helps set up the St. Joe touchdown. They give it right back to Connor Graber here. And he plows forward for about 3 yards behind the middle of that offensive line. A couple of senior guards in there with Micah Yoder and Adam Lance, but really getting some help from Brody Burkholder in the middle, the center, a junior. And that allowed Adam Lance to move from center over to guard. And Tom Wagaman says that just makes their line better.
Gain of 4 yards on the play, 96 yards here in the first half for Connor Graber.
From the shotgun, Hooley hands it off. Look at the surge that time and the power running by Connor Graber. You wonder why he's such an outstanding wrestler? Take a look at this kid's legs. My goodness, he just plows forward on people there, and that might not show it to you very much at home, but I guarantee you, if you stand next to him like I did this week at practice, he's impressive.
You mentioned that wrestling, you learn great balance, and if the guy goes high, you go low, inside, outside, a lot of things you learn from another sport. Remember Anthony Johnson, the running back from Adams and Notre Dame, always credited soccer. You can't hold on to the ball in soccer, and you have to go through a crowd, so if you can hold on to it, boy, he thought that made it easier.
Here's a throw out into the flat. Jordan Contreras with the catch, and a nice ankle tackle for St. Joe that time by J.P. Lewis, the sophomore safety, who makes the stop after a pickup of 5. By the way, the Northridge First Down is sponsored by Jimbo and Company Transport.
And that is the first completion and the first pass for Northridge tonight. They have 5 yards passing, 72 for St. Joseph.
Of course, you could make the argument that really in the first quarter, Northridge didn't have to pass the ball. They were running the ball effectively. Now St. Joe has been able to stack the line of scrimmage, but we've got a little bit of an equipment repair here on the helmet of Joel Stangby, the defensive end for St. Joe, and he's good to go. 2nd and 7 from the 38. It's Hooley himself and nowhere to run. What a job by Aaron Williamowski, the nose tackle. The junior comes in. He was second team all-conference last year, and he just beats a path into the backfield here. He got behind the pulling guard and makes the stop. He really read his keys well that time.
Hooley did a good job to hang on to the football. Again, all of a sudden everything's breaking down around you, and he didn't panic, held on to the ball, lost 3 yards on the play, bring up a 3rd down and 9.
Now Hooley looks to throw and has his man up to the 45-yard line for a first down. Connor Utley with a great route that time and a good catch to get the first down, sponsored by Jimbo and Company Transport. Hooley and Utley connected for the touchdown back in the first quarter, and they make another connection right here. You get another look at it from Bethel College. Utley knew right where those sticks were and got about a yard past him before Noah Hickey made the stop. Man in motion, jet sweep, There's room to run on the outside. And going out of bounds, that's Drew Schwartz on the end around. He gets a first down, sponsored by Jimbo and Company Transport.
Watch Riley Hacker make a fundamental mistake here on the defensive end, not to throw him under the bus, but you got to stay outside. You always have to turn the man back in. He thought maybe he could beat the blocker inside. Took a shot, didn't happen. Good pickup.
15 yards to be precise, and it'll be 1st and 10 from the 39. Raiders by 4 with 4:03 to go in the first half. Schwartz in motion again, but Hooley gives it off this time. Connor Graber running over people to get down to the 30-yard line, pickup of 9. You just get the feeling that anytime he's got the ball in his hands, he's thinking, I'm running until somebody really proves they can hit me.
Over 100 yards now in the first half. Connor Graber.
Austin Lee got in there and made the stop that time. 2nd and 1.
Northridge is answering that challenge.
Graber again, why not? He slams forward for the first down behind the blocking of Micah Yoder. So another first down sponsored by Jimbo and Company Transport. And Northridge doing a beautiful job of moving the chains on a drive that started back at its own 23-yard line.
Indiana Criminal Justice Institute reminds you to drive sober or get pulled over. One of our proud sponsors, the Indiana Criminal Justice Institute. We have our Whoa play of the game coming up following the completion of regulation.
From the 28, Graber again, solidly up the middle for 4, maybe 5 yards that time. Aiden Batista, senior reserve linebacker, comes up and makes the stop. Graber picking up about 4 on the play. It'll be 2nd and 6.
Both teams have a lot of players who go both ways. It's a little more difficult for a 4A team to match up. And so the Indians going to be looking for some help and some depth. Need to stop or maybe limit them to a field goal here.
It's Graber again, but this time St. Joe reads a Casey Connery and a tribe of Indians there to help make the stop. Drew Boyer also in there on the play.
Boyer's getting pretty active. He had a great game in the opener against Concord.
Here's another look from Bethel College. And again, St. Joe doing a great job of reading that pulling guard and coming in from behind to make the stop. And it'll be 3rd and 8.
Well, do the Indians cut themselves loose here? Maybe send somebody after Hooley?
And whistles, and we'll have our first timeout taken, as Northridge wants to take it over. So they'll have 2 timeouts remaining, and our timeout sponsored by TK Steel.
And Bill's Heating has been keeping families and businesses comfortable since 1951. You can relax knowing your family's comfort is their top priority. And Bill's Heating was voted best of the best by readers of the Goshen News. Call Bill's Heating 574-533-2079. That number again, 574-533-2079. Write it down. You know, it's nice out a couple more months, but got to have your heating ready to go for winter.
Next week we'll be in a hot place. The Tigers of Warsaw playing down at Fisher Field against Plymouth in the oldest rivalry in northern Indiana. I believe it'll be the 98th renewal of Plymouth and Warsaw, and we'll be there to bring it to you Friday night at 11 and Saturday morning at 9 on your home for high school sports in northern Indiana, TV 46.
5:02 on this drive, Chuck. 10 plays already, and Northridge would love to take it in for pay dirt here before the end of the half, leading by 4.
3rd and 8. Hooley wants to throw and does, completes the pass to the 15. Connor Utley with another grab. He's having a sensational game. 13 yards on the pickup that time for the Hooley-Utley connection. You get another look from Bethel College. James Eck just a tad slow coming up on that one for St. Joe.
And Hooley now 4 out of 4 for 59 yards. I mentioned earlier he's not much in the way of passing stats, but he's really picked it up here on this drive.
Hooley wants to throw again. This time threw it a little behind the receiver, but a nifty grab made that time. It was Jordan Contreras who made the catch. Dominic Appleton on the stop, pickup of 5 on the play. Contreras with his second grab of the night.
And of course, efficient passing leads to what, partner? Good opportunity to run a draw play or do something off of that pass look.
Well, they have 2 timeouts remaining, so the clock really not that much of a factor, even though there's only a minute left in the first half. Good solid drive here by the Raiders. Hooley fakes the handoff, throws, it's almost intercepted. Noah Hickey was trying to come in and get that one, and Hooley really took a shot as he got rid of the football.
Got him up in a hurry so the official couldn't come over and ask him how he's doing. He did ask him anyway, but Hooley, man, he got plastered on that play.
That might have moved the beard around a little bit underneath the chin strap. 3rd down and 6.
First incompletion of the night for Hooley, whose family put together, I gave him a 9.6 on the tailgate party tonight.
Ribeyes, burgers, hot dogs. We had it on Facebook Live on 46 Sports social media. 49 seconds to go before halftime. Hooley hands it off. Graber taken down by Casey Connery after about a 2-yard gain. 4th down. Tom Wagaman's going to let the clock tick down here a little bit before he uses a timeout.
14th play in the drive right there.
And the question will be from the 9-yard line, does Wagaman go for it or does he send on Nolan Laughlin for a field goal attempt? Wagaman walking down by the side judge. He'll burn a timeout when the clock gets down. There's a 3-second difference between the game clock and the play clock.
Again, our thanks to Rulies of Middlebury. They fed our crew tonight, did a great job. Proud of their effort. What a great team. They've got 2 locations, one in Middlebury across from the high school, or in Elkhart on County Road 17.
All right, well, Hawkins Water Tech sponsors our feature called Around the Water Cooler. What are people talking about around the water cooler this week in high school football? Well, Plymouth made the 4A poll. John Barron's team had an impressive win over East Noble last week down at the Rock Pile. There's a top 10 showdown up in the region tonight as number 7 Mishawaka takes on number 9 Valpo. And it's opening week in the state of Michigan. In fact, many of the teams played last night. Berrien Springs and Edwardsburg had some very impressive victories last night. The Niles Vikings, who we'll see later in the year, opening up tonight.
Looking forward to getting up in the state of Michigan. Do that every couple years or so. Big play here, needless to say, and they're going to try the field goal.
Nolan Laughlin did not have a field goal attempt in the game last week against Adams. So this will be his first of the year. It comes from 26 yards away. The snap a little low. The kick is up, and it is good. So Nolan Laughlin bangs it home from 26 yards away and puts Northridge back up by a touchdown. It's 17-10 with 5 seconds left in the first half.
It's amazing how you can run a field goal without the clock moving. I think the official's going to look over and say, hey, they didn't start the clock. And the first half is, I think, going to be over. He's talking to Tom Wogelman.
Now they've taken it down to 2 seconds.
Wow. Tom, I don't think he wanted to kick off.
Well, I'm sure he probably didn't, but he's going to have to kick one here, and they'll probably just try to squib it. Very interesting first half. Northridge just took over in the first quarter. They had a 14-point lead less than 7 minutes into the game, and then went for it on 4th and 1 in their own territory, failed to make it. St. Joe came back, scored the next 10 points before Northridge put together a really impressive drive here at the end of the first half to build the lead back up to
77 yards, Chuck, and 15 plays, picked up 4 first downs, took 6 minutes and 50 seconds out the clock and left just 2, and that's pretty efficient. And you know, we mentioned the challenge that Northridge had was to have their coaches back, who made a decision to go for it, and 4th down didn't get it. Said, Coach, we got you, and they went right down the field, got on the board again, built that lead back up to 7.
Sun going down behind the trees here at Raider Field as Laughlin squibs one up the middle of the field. Let's see if St. Joe can make anything happen here. That looks like Noah Hickey getting around the outside, and Hickey taken down at the 42-yard line as the horn sounds, and the first half comes to an end. So The Northridge Raiders will go to the locker room with a 7-point lead on St. Joe in this first meeting between the two teams since 1995. Tom Wagaman, who's done a great job here at Northridge turning things around in the program, is down on the sidelines now with a Bill Heating sideline report with Bo Hunt.
Coach, you score the first 14 points. Go for it on fourth down, get stopped, and then the fumble right after that. They got the momentum. Just your thoughts in the first half.
We did. I mean, we came out really playing well to start with, and we haven't really been stopped on us offensively. But boy, I mean, it comes down to the turnovers. I mean, and I think we had pretty decent control, and to their credit, they battled back. And you know, we got to get into this halftime and just make sure we're getting some adjustments made for defensively. But yeah, good start for us. We just kind of left a few opportunities on the board.
Tom, thanks for your time. Back to you guys.
All right, Bo, everybody stick around. When we come back, we'll have our Ruley's of Middlebury halftime report. Northridge leads St. Joe 17-10 on the 46 game of the week.
Back with you from Northridge High School, where tonight we've got the St. Joseph Indians and the Northridge Raiders doing battle, and at halftime we honor our student athletes of the week, brought to you by TCU. TCU reminds you to go online at tcunet.com and find out how you can become a member today. And as always, great representatives of the schools with us. Alexis Kilcoyne is with us from St. Joseph High School, and Mason Troyer with us from Northridge High School. And we'll talk to the visitor first, not only because she's a visitor, but she's a golfer. Makes a lot of points in my world. Alexis, first of all, congratulations on your success on the golf course and also academically. You're getting it done both places.
Thank you. It's an honor to get this award. I mean, I've worked really hard in school, especially, and golf as well. And the whole team, like as a whole, we've worked very hard this season, and our coach has put a lot of time and effort into us, and we're definitely showing that on the course.
Yeah, you're struggling at 9-0, I think, as a team. That's a tremendous start. Talk about the game of golf, and as much as it is a team game, but it's also very much an individual game and a lot of discipline about what you're doing and how you're working on your game.
Yeah, I mean, it is an individual game, but I mean, the team also is there to support you, and to me, it's more of a team sport because at the end of the day, you know, you all contribute all of your scores, and when it comes down to it, everyone, I mean, if you do happen to lose, it's everyone's fault, I guess, but then when you win, everyone gets to celebrate for it, no matter who's the best player on the team or who's, worked the hardest. I mean, it's a team sport.
You got a GPA over 4, which is terrific, and you want to study journalism in college, and you're not sure exactly where you want to go, but you're hoping maybe there's a golf scholarship involved in that?
Yeah, I mean, if golf happens to be an option, then I would love to play, but if it's not, then I'm just going to take whatever, whatever happens, happens.
All righty. Give a shout out to the people that have mattered in your life and have helped you be successful. I know your dad, Jimmy's probably going to get a little mention here.
Yeah, I just want to thank my dad and my mom for sure, and my friends Susie, Brianna, and all my best friends, and especially, most importantly, my team and my coach. My coach especially, because he encourages us, and even if we have a bad day, I mean, he knows how to fix it, and it's he's probably the most important role model to me.
All right, congratulations on all your success.
Thank you.
Lexi Kilcoyne from St. Joseph High School. Mason Troyer is a member of the Northridge Raiders, and Mason's not only playing football, but a very excellent baseball player. And Mason, I know you're busy with a couple of sports that keeps you busy. We'll talk about the time management it takes to handle all that.
Time management, it's actually been a pretty hard factor, being able to get good grades and be able to still excel on the sports fields. And I realized actually working in study hall instead of how some people don't really do work. You need to get the work done when you need to get done, no matter what time of day it is, in school or at home. And you still need to be able to get up, lift, do whatever you need to do to be a successful athlete as well. So,
I know you're going to be playing football tonight. I'm looking forward to seeing you play baseball. You've done a great job. You're voted the best glove on the team, and you'd like to play in college. Give us an idea what's ahead for you.
I want to study pharmacy at possibly Ohio Northern University. It gives me a chance to possibly play baseball at the same time. They have a full pharmacy program, which makes it easy for me to do it in 6 years instead of possibly doing it in 8. So it makes it a lot easier on me, money-wise, and being able to get it done as fast as I can.
I wish you the best of luck with that. Talk about the people in your life that have been instrumental. I know you're involved in your church youth group and things like that. You've got great leadership at home and at school. Talk about those folks.
Yeah, first it's my mom and dad. My mom does work at the school in the athletic department, And then my dad is one of the high school football coaches here, and it's just great having him as a support system at home all the time. Also, Coach Mike Logan, he's been coaching me since I was 8, 9 years old. Still my defensive coordinator now, still coaches me in summer baseball. Also, my old youth group leader, Kent Bierstrom, who now is a youth group leader down in Carmel, Indiana. It was a great impact in my life when I first started going to that church, and it was put a number on me, I guess. That's the way to put it.
That's great. Congratulations on all your success. Good luck in the future.
Thank you.
All right, Mason Troyer from Northridge High School and Lexi Kilcoyne from St. Joseph High School. Our Student Athletes of the Week brought to you by TCU. They remind you to go online to tcunet.com and find out how you can become a member today. We're back with halftime stats and highlights in just a moment here on the TV 46 High School Football Game of the Week.
This edition of the 46 Game of the Week brought to you in part by Crown Trophy. They're nationally known and locally owned. Halftime here at Raider Field in Middlebury. 17-10 in favor of Northridge over St. Joe. Welcome everybody to the Ruleys of Middlebury halftime report. Chuck Freeby alongside Bob Nagel high atop the fray. Your thoughts on that first half?
Well, we thought going in it could be a back-and-forth ball game because both teams were much improved, and you always look for improvement in week 1 to week 2. I think we've seen that tonight, and the stats will bear out that Northridge had a real solid game, and it's hard for them to look at the scoreboard at halftime and think they were not more dominant than that, but they had the only turnover, and they turned the ball over in their own territory and gave it to St. Joe, took advantage of the short field.
Well, let's show you how it got to be this way in Middlebury tonight. Northridge started out with a hot hand on 4th down. Nick Cooley to Connor Utley. He takes the slant pattern to the house. 31 yards. Extra point was good. 7-0. Next possession. Connor Graber right through the heart of the St. Joe defense. 66 yards before Riley Hacker brings him down. Don't worry, Nick Cooley will take it in from the 1-yard line. 14-0. Raiders look like they have a route, but a fumble in its own territory recovered by Drew Boyer, and then Tim Flanagan takes it in after an Andy Hahn field goal. That made it 14-10. Finally, Nolan Laughlin's 26-yarder gives Northridge a 7-point cushion at the intermission. And here's a look at your numbers from half number 1.
As we said, kind of dominant for Northridge. 168 yards on the ground. Graber over 100 yards in the first half. 64 yards passing. That was about even for both schools. 232 total to 118 for St. Joe. 1 turnover. That was for Northridge. And penalties kind of strange. 4 for 16 yards for Northridge. 3 for 8 yards for St. Joe. We had a couple of 1-yard penalties in that first half. 9 first downs for Northridge, 5 for St. Joe. Time of possession, really dominant for Northridge. 16:43 to 7:17, and yet they lead by just a touchdown.
Well, 1 turnover, very big for St. Joe, plus the 4th down stop by St. Joe was very big. That's really what's keeping them in the game. But what adjustments will the Indians make? Well, we'll find out when Bo talks with Brian Witten, and we'll have that when we come back. This has been the Ruleys of Middlebury halftime report. Northridge on top, 17-10. You're watching the 46 Game of the Week. This edition of the 46 Game of the Week brought to you in part by Hawkins Water Tech. We know H2O. 17-10, Northridge on top of St. Joe before the second half starts. Let's check down on the field with Bo Hunt with the Bills Heating Sideline Report. What to watch for here in the second half, Bo?
Well, I think one of the biggest things with St. Joe is can they get some of that momentum that they got when they forced the 4th down with Northridge and got that fumble recovery. They were able to get a really good momentum. Northridge kind of got that back a little bit right before the half. They were able to get that field goal. You got a 7-point game, so this is a very tight game right here. St. Joe's receiving the ball. See if they can get something going here in the first series, guys.
Our third quarter tonight brought to us by the Middlebury Community Schools, and the kickoff sponsored by our friends at TK Steel. That's Noah Hickey, one of the deep men, along with Jimmy Verheily for the St. Joe Indians.
The Indians have done a nice job on special teams tonight, especially on the kickoff return. Both teams have a field goal. We've got 2 well-coached teams playing good football here tonight. Looking forward to a great second half. Glad that you're with us here on TV 46 WHME. And here to call the second half and find us a winner here tonight at Northridge. My partner, TV 46 Sports Director Chuck Freeby.
Nolan Laughlin will put the boot to it for Northridge. The sun has gone down and it has cooled off into football weather here in Middlebury this evening. Laughlin spinning kick taken by Verheily at the 5. Verheily to the outside. Verheile tries a spin move and can't execute it and goes down at the 24-yard line, make it the 23. And that's where it'll be 1st and 10 for St. Joe. Ashton Ruskowski threw the ball well in the first half, had a very good pass to Isaac Romans down at the goal line, but Brian Witten, Dennis Teagarden probably not exactly enamored with the receiving of some of the running backs in that first half.
5 out of 9 in the first half, 72 yards for Ruskowski. Ran 3 times for 21 yards. Pretty solid half of football.
And Ruskowski from under center hands it off to Driscoll, and the sophomore running back got back to the line of scrimmage, and that's about it. That was stacked up well by Mason Troyer and the rest of the Northridge defense.
We're going to have to see if we can find out on the condition of Gudermuth, who was banged up in that first half, and not sure if we can get an update on his condition, but not in there to start the second half.
I would be very surprised, considering the way he looked when he walked off the field, whether he would be back tonight. You take a look at Carson Deal, the big 255-pound defensive tackle for this Northridge defense. Ruskowski on 2nd and 9 got a bunch of movement. It induced.
His left guard jumped the count a little bit.
So the false start will cost the Tribe 5 yards and make it 2nd and 14. And you'll get another look at it here from Bethel College. As you're right, the left guard stood right up. Brian Witten, a Penn grad in his 2nd year at the helm of the St. Joe Indians, trying to get his team to carry out a St. Joe tradition which has been outstanding in football but has lagged in the last couple of years. Ruskowski on a quarterback draw. And boy, there were lots of people there, including Jordan Contreras. Contreras, the transfer from Concord, comes up and makes the hit from the linebacker position.
Picked up a yard on the play.
Contreras was the leading tackler in the win over Adams last week. And he just does a nice job of fending off his blocker, coming up and filling in the hole right there. 3rd and 13.
And he likes to hit. And if you're St. Joe, one of the rules you've had is to deal with the situation. You don't want to turn the ball over in your own territory. See if they're a little bit conservative here.
Ruskowski under pressure, throws a screen and throws it away. He was looking for Isaac Romans on the tight end screen. Might have had something there, but incomplete. It'll be 4th down in a punting situation for Andy Hahn.
TK Steele proudly supports the Northridge Raiders and wishes them good luck in tonight's game. TK Steele would like to give a shout out to 2 special players. Seniors, number 20, Connor Utley, and number 15, Nick Hooley. Have a great year, fellas, from the team at TK Steele.
Reshcore sponsors the punt by Hahn. Low snap. Andy gets it out of there. An end-over-end roller. That'll be taken at the 37. Connor Utley to the outside and gets into St. Joe territory up to the 45-yard line. So a 43-yard kick by Hahn, but an 18-yard return that time for Northridge. And the Raiders sitting pretty at the St. Joe 46-yard line.
Interested in improving all areas of your fitness program or your sport? Join the new Strength and Conditioning Center in Mishawaka, Beacon Sports Performance. They offer youth, high school, and adult performance training. The coaching staff at Beacon Sports Performance will push you and ensure you perform the movements in the proper form. Visit beaconhealthandfitness.org today.
Hooley, the quarterback, hands it off to Mason Troyer, who's dragged down after a pickup of 1, maybe 2 right there. Troyer spun around by Casey Connery, the linebacker, who had help from Charlie McFadden. It'll be 2nd and 8. You look into the eyes of Nick Hooley, the senior quarterback. Long time ago, or at least it must seem that way to him, back when he was in middle school, he was a punt, pass, and kick finalist. And what a thrill for him as a big Bears fan to go on up to Soldier Field and participate in that. On 2nd and 8, Troyer found nowhere to run, and Connery shoves him back in as we get a flag on the play. Connery with help from Williamowski. And let's see what the flag's all about. Casey Connery having an excellent game from the linebacker position tonight. Flag's going to be spotted at the 47. And Adam Tomlinson tells us it's a hold on Northridge. We'll see if we can see it on our Bethel College replay. Troyer ran into Graber. I'm not exactly sure where the hold came in. But that sets up a 2nd and 21 for Northridge. Certainly a passing situation for Nick Hooley, who has been very accurate throwing the football tonight. Another flag comes in as Hooley goes on the run.
There's another block in the back.
And flags coming from all over the place as Hooley goes down at the 50, but this one will be coming back. There's one thrown by the back judge and one thrown by the referee. Other than that, it was clean.
You know, we had all those little petty penalties in the first half. Now we got a couple 10-yarders.
Brian Witten says just keep marching them backwards.
Yeah, this is a good drive for the Indians, especially after giving up the ball on their own side of the field to start the second half.
Meanwhile, Northridge has an injured player coming off. That's Adam Lance holding his right wrist. So they'll have to get a sub in, and it'll probably be Ricky Howie, the junior guard, number 70. So another holding call here against Northridge. We'll see if we can pick it up on the Bethel College replay. And there's the lineman just being tackled as he came in on the pass rush, as Michael Godfrey got taken down that time. And then here's a block in the back right there.
You think?
As Riley Hacker went flying by. Like I said, other than two of the players on the play, it was clean.
Well, the good news for Northridge, you can only take one penalty, but it brings up a 2nd down and 35 back at their own 29.
They're at the 29. They only have to get to the St. Joe 37. Nick Hooley under pressure and spins away. Heaves it down the field, and it is incomplete. And a flag comes in for pass interference on James Eck.
It looked like Eck had a little leverage inside where he didn't have to bump the receiver, but there must have been contact. Utley did a good job. And of course, they don't need to get to the 35 now. It'd be an automatic 1st down.
We shall see. There's the call, pass interference. And it is 2nd down. So it's 15-yard penalty, moves it up to the 44. And you'll get another look here from Bethel College. Godfrey almost had him, couldn't quite get him to put the knee down. And then Hooley smartly just throws it down the field, and Eck had him by the back of the jersey and pulled him back in. That's what the pass interference.
And the coach for St. Joe, I think, might have been called for interference as well. A lot of contact over there.
So that moves it up to the 44. We're still on 2nd down. If you're wondering what might be edited out for the Saturday morning broadcast, I think the last 3 plays. It'll be 2nd and 20.
I see Julius Graber in there, the wide receiver. You always have to watch him when he's in there because he's a quarterback as well and knows how to throw the football.
Now we've got Mason Troyer coming off the field. Not sure why. Tom Wagaman sending him back out onto the field. So from their own 44-yard line, Northridge at 2nd and 20. Graber, the man in motion. Graber going to throw. Good call, Bob, and it's intercepted. Riley Hacker with the pick. Hacker at the 50. Tries to reverse field, now goes backwards, loses the football, gets it back, and it'll be St. Joe ball at the 42-yard line.
Wow.
So Bob Nagel adroitly picking up Graber's presence in the game at receiver. He did throw the pass on the end around here, but it's intercepted by Hacker. who picked it off at the 38 and brought it back 4 yards to the 42-yard line.
Second turnover of the ball game for Northridge.
So let's see if St. Joe can take advantage of the Northridge miscue. Ashton Ruskowski talking to Luke Facenda, his center. Ruskowski gives it to Tim Flanagan, and Flanagan goes forward for 10 yards and a first down, sponsored by Urban Swirl of Granger.
And the clock didn't start on the play.
They've had some issues here tonight.
Must be the first, well, it's not the first, maybe it's the first home game for Northridge.
They're telling them to wind the clock, and there it goes. Here's John Driscoll on the carry. Driscoll reverses field and then gets hit and taken down hard on the play after a pickup of 2. Northridge getting the stop that time from Reese Luking, a 6'2", 205-pound junior. And watch Luking come from behind the play, come over and make the hit at the 44-yard line, pick up a 3 on the play. It'll be 2nd and 7.
That jersey that represents momentum is getting stretched all different ways here in this third quarter.
Ruskowski throws, completes it. It's a first down up to the 34-yard line. That's Drew Sutton with his first catch of the night. The senior receiver, member of the track team, moves the change, sponsored by Urban Swirl of Granger. Up to the 33-yard line, 11-yard pickup on the play.
Using a lot of different personnel are the Indians.
Flanagan now up the middle. Boy, he's a little dart as he just goes forward to the 26. Took a hard hit at the end of that play and is slow to get up.
He did. He's had a little bit of a shoulder that's been tender. Boy, Godfrey opened the hole that time. 55 is a man out there.
Flanagan told me before the game the shoulder was just tweaked. It might be a little bit more than tweaked after that hit by Mason Troyer. Got him with the helmet right on the shoulder, and the officials are going to take the time out here. And we will as well. 6:32 to go in the third quarter, and St. Joe moving the ball down by 7 on 46. So 6:32 to go here in the third quarter. St. Joe moving the ball, looking at a 2nd and 3 from the Northridge 26. And the clock ticking with 6:20 and counting to go. Flanagan stays in the game after the equipment timeout. And it's Ruskowski on the quarterback keeper. He goes forward to the 24, pickup of about 2 on the play. And St. Joe will look at a 3rd and 1. Ashton Ruskowski hasn't carried it as much as he did last week when he picked up 67 yards against Concord, but he's been effective when he's run it.
That's his 5th carry, 24 yards. And again, sometimes even if you don't get a lot of yards on that carry, you keep the defense honest. Somebody got to stay home and watch the quarterback.
Be tempting to do a quarterback sneak right here, and they do. Right behind Luke Facenda, and I don't know that he got there. We'll see.
Well, it depends where they mark it. They're going to say it's just outside the 28. Might be short.
It is. It'll be 4th down. Well, now they're going to stop the clock so they can measure.
While they do that, we'll tell you that the teams in this game are working toward a great finish, and so is a team from Imagineering Finishing Technologies, partners with industries including aerospace, automotive, military and defense, medical, and precision machining. At IFT, quality is a way of life.
While they bring out the chains, we remind you that our college football coverage on Harvest 103.1 begins on Thursday night. They're calling it the biggest opener ever in Indiana University history. Urban Meyer's Ohio State Buckeyes, ranked number 2 in the country, come in. You'll hear it on your home of the Hoosiers, Harvest 103.1 WHME FM. Kickoff at 8 p.m. Thursday night. You see the measurement, the ball about a foot short of the first down marker.
Don Fisher loosening up the vocal cords, getting ready. You know, it's going to be interesting to see which of our two teams on our radio stations has the better record this year. IU or Purdue. It could be a real battle. That Oak and Bucket could decide it.
Jeff Brome, the new coach at Purdue, has people fired up down there. They've got some new facilities that have the players excited too. 4th, and we'll call it 1, but it's really 1 foot. It's Flanagan on the carry with a good block, has the first down. Tim Flanagan on the carry for St. Joe up to the 21-yard line, and a first down sponsored by Urban Swirl and Granger. Watch the blocking here from the St. Joe line, and it was John Driscoll, the running back, who came up and really set the screen there for Flanagan to get the last 2 yards.
And Flanagan made sure that once he had the first down, he wasn't going to try to do anything fancy. He got to move the chains, and a good job by the Indians right there.
St. Joe trying to march for a game-tying touchdown here in the 3rd quarter.
7 minutes of that 3rd quarter gone already.
Roskowski from under center, in trouble, scrambles, and Ashton Roskowski does a nice job on that play to get it up to the 20-yard line. That's only a 1-yard gain, but it could have been an abject disaster. Carson Deal comes in, makes the stop. Boy, Carson Deal is an interesting story. He's a young man that has really done some great work in working with the Association for the Disabled in Elkhart County. They're called ADEC. He signed up for a thing called the Tech Challenge, and he has developed some adaptive cutlery for people with disabilities to use that has really been helpful to people here in Elkhart County. On 2nd and 9, Roskowski throws that little lob out in the flat. Driscoll makes a catch, spins away from a tackler. Then we have a flag come in on the play as Julius Graber makes the stop, but let's see what the flag is all about.
Looked like a late holding call, Chuck, and that'd be unfortunate because the play was about to end anyway. But one of the Northridge players said he grabbed my jersey and pulled on it. Let's see.
Raider players clapping their hands over on the far side, and it's an illegal block against St. Joe.
Well, the hurrier we go, the behinder we get tonight for both these teams in the 3rd quarter. Seems to make progress. Watch it here. The play's about to be over. Right.
Well, there's the
right
block
here.
in the back.
Yep.
I think it was Romans, the tight end, who got somebody. So that's a critical loss of 10 yards from the spot. Makes it 2nd and 15 now for St. Joe.
38 yards and penalties for St. Joe, 36 for Northridge.
Roskowski again under pressure, gets rid of it, looking for Verheily, couldn't hang on. Verheily unable to hang on. Kyle Carson was there and may have had a hand in knocking it away.
Tough miss there because you threw behind the receiver. He's the only guy who knew was underthrown, and he came back and just fanned on it.
So it'll be 3rd down and 15. Roskowski jogs in with the play from the St. Joe sideline. 3:34 to go, 3rd quarter. Northridge trying to protect a 7-point lead.
You wonder, Chuck, if they'd go for it on 4th down or kick another field goal.
Roskowski throws it well over the head of Drew Sutton. 4th down, but we've got a flag down, and it could be roughing the passer.
I thought it might be Father Cam Turbasi on the far sidelines with interference.
Well, we got a holding call against St. Joe again, and Tom Wagaman wants to move him back. He respects the foot of Andy Hahn and wants to try to take him out of field goal range. And this would, as it moves St. Joe all the way back to the 43-yard line. There's the takedown right there. Yep. Mark Heestand absolutely tackled Micah Yoder trying to come in.
Not a technique that his father teaches at Notre Dame, I don't think.
More than likely not. So 3rd and 25. St. Joe a couple of times tonight has tried to run some screen passes, and they've been open, but they haven't been connected on it. It's an end around. This is Jimmy Verheily, dragged down for a loss of 10. Ricky Howie comes in and makes the hit behind the line of scrimmage. And what a defensive stand for Northridge, aided by a number of St. Joe penalties.
6 penalties in the second half and a little bit of a slow developing play. Godfrey just didn't get there in time. That was the initial push that sent him backwards, and a couple of Raiders run into each other, but celebration is on. That was a big play.
So Andy Hahn will punt from his own territory now. Connor Utley, the deep man. Hahn, as we mentioned earlier, averaging about 43 yards a kick this season. Has a clean snap, a little slow getting the kickoff. And the ball bounds away to the 18-yard line, and it will be down there. That's a 35-yard kick with no return, and with 2:55 to go in the third. Let's see what Tom Wagaman decides to dial up right here with his team, leading by 7.
6-minute drive there for the Indians, getting the ball at their own 43-yard line, and weren't able to convert. It's a lot of time off the clock, especially when you're behind.
So they're going to spot the ball at the 21-yard line. They say that's where St. Joe originally touched it. It'll be Nick Hooley at quarterback. We saw Julius Graber on one possession in the first half. Mason Troyer to Hooley's left, and Troyer gets the football. Troyer nearly lost the football before Riley Hacker brings him down at the 24-yard line, pick up 3 on the play.
Get a last taste of summer this weekend at Bonnie Doon Drive-In on Lincoln Way. Open 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week through October. Stop in for a St. Joe Sunday and a Bonnie Burger this weekend. Bonnie Doon Drive-In wants to wish St. Joe a fantastic game and a terrific season.
2nd and 7. St. Joe defense, after getting lit up in the first quarter, has really stiffened here and only given up 3 points the rest of the way. Connor Graber on the carry, eludes some tacklers, and Connor Graber gets the first down before Charlie McFadden brings him down at the 41-yard line. A first down sponsored by Jimbo and Company Transport.
17 yards in the carry, and Chuck, watch how they try to tackle him high up here. Watch the contact. Well, not much contact really, but good pursuit.
So McFadden from his bandit linebacker position makes the stop. 1st and 10 from the 41.
128 yards rushing tonight for Graber.
Troyer now gets a block from Graber, and Troyer picks up about 6 on the play. McFadden on the stop again.
31 yards for Troyer.
Boy, what a couple of great kids you interviewed at halftime, Mason Troyer being one of them, along with Alexis Kilcoyne. Terrific representatives of these two schools.
I would need about 6 shots aside from Lexi. Her dad, Jim, said no way.
2nd and 4. It's Troyer again, trying to get around the right side, cut it up the field nicely, and is a couple of yards short of the first down. Drew Boyer in on the stop that time for St. Joe. And J.P. Lewis was there as well. So 3rd and 2. Waning seconds of period number 3. We've had no scoring in the quarter, but a lot of the ball moving up and down the field.
St. Joe scored with 6:52 to go in the first half, and since that time, Northridge with the touchdown, or the field goal rather, and the ball.
And a first down here as Mason Troyer was able to weave his way through potential tacklers and pick up 4 yards on the play and get the first down, sponsored by Jimbo and Company Transport. And Tom Wagaman more than happy to move the chains here as Michael Godfrey is down on the field. Looks like he might have a cramp. And we will see.
A well-earned one at that. He's been out there almost every play. He hardly ever comes off the field. Folks, Thor Industries isn't an RV brand. It's a family of some of the most well-known RV brands in the country. From pop-up campers to Class A motorhomes, Thor brand leads the industry in RVs that help you go your own way. Learn all about RVing and find the RV that's right for you at ThorIndustries.com. They ought to talk to Dean Korsmo. He's the ultimate camper, isn't he?
Michael Godfrey hops off the field. We want to remind you that the Purdue Boilermakers are ready to start another season of college football on Pulse FM, and they'll do it Saturday night, September 2nd, when they take on the Louisville Cardinals at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. 7:30 for the kickoff. Pregame show at 6:30 on your home of Boiler football, Pulse FM. Likely the final play of quarter number 3. It's Troyer again behind a convoy of blockers going forward for 6 yards. It'll be 2nd and 4. The Northridge defense was able to come up with some big plays here in the third quarter and keep St. Joe off the scoreboard. And the Raiders trying to go to 2-0, lead at 17-10 on 46. Edition of the 46 Game of the Week brought to you in part by the electrical workers of Local 153. They're making our community brighter. And by Bill's Heating, keeping families and businesses comfortable since 1951. Chuck Freeby, Bob Nagel up in the box. Down on the sidelines, Bo Hunt. Boy, that was a strange third quarter, Bo. What did you take away from it?
Well, I think a lot of it was both teams not wanting to turn the ball over and really control the tempo of the game. And Northridge has kind of really settled into that position of trying to control this game on the ground, doing a really good job picking up 4 or 5 yards on first down, really setting themselves up great on this drive. I think in this fourth quarter here, I think that's one of the biggest keys to this fourth quarter is winning it, is not turning over the football. Guys?
And Troyer hangs on to it as he carries for the first down up to the 34, sponsored by Jimbo and Company Transport. Our fourth quarter brought to us by the Middlebury Community Schools. And I think they're able to wear down St. Joe a little bit. We saw Godfrey hobble off the field. Now Noah Hickey is going down with a leg injury on the field. And I don't know if he's got a cramp or what the problem is for Hickey, but it's a St. Joe team that is thin on numbers anyway, and Dominic Appleton hobbling around out there as well.
Another first down for Northridge. Folks, wouldn't it be great to work for a company where the employees are the most valuable asset? Well, now is your chance because Retscore is hiring. A locally owned company that handles custom plastic extrusion applications, offering excellent benefits that include medical, dental, and 401k. Working for this steadily growing company is a career. To learn more about joining the Retscore family, visit Retscore.com. That's RESCHCOR, Retscore.com.
Well, Bob, you mentioned at halftime the time of possession heavily in favor of Northridge. That hasn't changed here in the second half as Connor Graber carries and is taken down by J.P. Lewis, who helps him up in a nice act of sportsmanship. It'll be 2nd down and 6.
Boy, they've used the backs well in this second half. And again, we're seeing some of the St. Joe players go down with some cramps. 132 yards tonight for Connor Graber, and now 48 yards for Troyer. So pretty good balance.
Cooley will keep it himself, and the 212-pound quarterback takes it up to the 26-yard line and sets up Northridge with a 3rd and 2. And I think it's very clear at this point, to echo what Bo said, Tom Wongeman at this point of the game just feels like he can take his offensive line and wear down St. Joe and grind it out on the ground.
Jimbo and Company Transport, where you can get paid to travel the country. If you have a 1-ton or a 3/4-ton truck, contact Jimbo and Company Transport in Middlebury. That number is 844-56-JIMBO. And like us on Facebook. Jimbo and Company Transport.
3rd and 2. Graber got tackled by Appleton and company in the backfield. Appleton hit him first. Casey Connery finished him off, and it'll be 4th and 3.
Another big decision here for Tom Wogeman.
Well, I think you're outside the range of Nolan Laughlin as you take another look. Boy, Appleton just really did a great job of shooting the gap. And right now, he's really playing on one leg. You can see him hopping around after the tackle. trying to fight off a cramp. He knows he's lost 2 teammates with leg injuries on this possession. 4th and 2. Cooley gives it off. Troyer slams forward. Did he get the first down? Yes, he did, up to the 22-yard line. Mason Troyer stopped on the play by Boyer and Lewis.
When there was some penetration in there and just weren't able to line up and get him. 19 had some hands around him.
Good block that time, as Adam Lance was able to delay Boyer from making the tackle long enough to get the first down.
Seen a few times tonight, Chuck, where it looks like some of the Indians may be going a little bit too high in their tackling attempts, and you can not only get the runner down if you're going lower, but you can get under the blocker as well.
Timeout taken by Northridge, their first time out of the second half, and it comes with 9:12 to go in regulation, and the Raiders up by 7.
We wanted to give a shout out to St. Joseph Athletic Director Debbie Brown. Debbie Brown was elected to the Volleyball Coaches Hall of Fame. Much deserved honor for Debbie Brown. Did a great job at Notre Dame. She also was captain of the Olympic team, and in 1980 they weren't able to go over and compete because of all the politics involved, but what a great honor for that lady, and she did a great job playing at Southern Cal and for the Olympic team, and she's now the athletic director at St. Joseph High School. Proud of that lady, and congratulations, Debbie Brown, on a great accomplishment.
So Tom Wagaman has done a sensational job as the head coach here at Northridge. You want to know how good a job? Well, since 2000, before Tom Wagaman, Northridge went 26-107. Since Tom came to town, they're 29-18. This is his 5th season at the helm here at Northridge, and what a job he has done in resurrecting this football program.
And you got to give credit to his staff as well, as we see an eclipse. Oh no, it's not an eclipse.
Meanwhile, Nick Hooley runs out of bounds, chased out of bounds that time. I believe it was Josh Crudup who sent him flying across the sideline.
Mark it right about the 17-yard line, a gain of 5.
Crudup, a young man who missed a lot of time because he went over to London to participate in a Shakespeare festival over there. Was able to raise the money through a GoFundMe page. And Brian Witten said, you know, by all means, that's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. 2nd and 5. Handoff, Connor Graber. Bouncing off tacklers, Isaac Romans finally brings him down at the 14-yard line. And Northridge looking at another 3rd and short here. It'll be 3rd and 1.
And running that clock again, Chuck. 136 yards on the night now for Connor Graber.
This drive started back in the 3rd quarter with what, about 2 minutes left on the clock?
Yep.
So about a 5.5-minute drive so far, looking at a 3rd and 2. Hooley himself, and Hooley battles for the first down to the 10. Nick Hooley, the Northridge quarterback, who battled for the job in the preseason, but it really was his to take once he showed he was healthy enough. And again, like you said, Bob, the high tackling by St. Joe is really hurting their cause right now.
Well, when the second half started, we got to get a touchdown, then try to win the game. Now they need to stop and try to keep them off the board. There'll be a lot of work to do with 8:02 to go.
1st and goal from the 10. It's Troyer, and Casey Connery stops him at the 8-yard line. Connery with a good job of fighting off the block that time and then coming over and making the hit. And he has had a huge game in terms of tackles for St. Joe. The middle linebacker in this Indian attack.
Northridge took over the ball with 2:55 to go 3rd quarter. And man, they are running out some clock.
2nd and goal from the 8. They have done an excellent job of playing keep away from the St. Joe offense tonight.
This will be the 16th play of this drive.
St. Joe coming on a blitz, and Appleton read it perfectly, stopping him at the 11-yard line. Mason Troyer was met just as he got the football by Dominic Appleton. We mentioned earlier Appleton back from a broken leg last year, and he timed that one perfectly.
Well, one of the things about the 16 plays that have been in this drive, Chuck, there hasn't been a pass. I think maybe
3rd and 11, you might see one.
Tom Wogelman has said we're not going to throw the ball and risk a turnover, but St. Joe hasn't been able to tee off on that definite run.
Drew Schwartz, single coverage, ball knocked down and incomplete. I think it was Isaac Romans who got a hand on it and knocked it down. 4th down, and Nolan Laughlin will come out for a very important field goal here, which would make it a 2-score game.
Good penetration. Look at the fundamentals. Two guys had their hands up there.
It was Joel Stangby who knocked it down, the defensive end. So Laughlin hit one from 26 earlier. This would be a 28-yard field goal out of the hold of Kyle Carson. The snap is good. The kick is up, and it is good. 6:37 to go in regulation, and the kickers have come up big tonight for both teams. But Nolan Laughlin with a pair of field goals, one from 26 and this one from 28, helps Northridge grab a 10-point lead, 20-10 on St. Joe on 46. This edition of the TV46 High School Football Game of the Week is brought to you in part by Imagineering Finishing Technologies, IFT, where quality is a way of life. Tom Wogelman talking to his quarterback, Nick Hooley, down on the sidelines. Pleased with that drive as it just ground a whole lot of time off the clock for the Raiders.
68 yards in the drive, 18 plays. 4 first downs, didn't get in the end zone for a touchdown, but converted on the field goal, which right now, pretty good insurance policy.
Well, we'll see if St. Joe can make something happen on special teams.
Think about that ball was tipped, Chuck, after all the running they did and not throwing, then they finally threw it. That could have been tipped and returned.
A good kick by Laughlin, taken back at the 2-yard line. Jimmy Verhiley has a seam, and then Verhiley hangs onto the ball and goes down at the 28. Look for the ball to go in the air a little bit now as St. Joe has to move it down quickly and then get it back. Austin Ruskowski has had a fine night throwing the football. Not great, but he has certainly been accurate with his passes.
Going to have to do a lot of rollouts here. I think, Chuck, they've got some receivers. The best pass that they threw was that angular pass down to the 2-yard line, and both players were moving, the wide receiver and the quarterback rolling the same way. Let's see if they get him in a rollout situation.
Well, Ruskowski throws out in the flat. Drew Sutton manages to go out of bounds down about the 36, 37-yard line, stopping the clock with 6:25 to go here in the game.
Well, you'll take those, and Northridge will give those, I think.
That'll set up a 2nd and 1. You see players on both sides fighting cramps. As Charlie Owens, the junior offensive lineman for Northridge, getting stretched out down on the sideline. Ruskowski again throws to the sideline. Sutton again. First down, sponsored by Urban Swirl of Granger, as Sutton goes out of bounds at the 44-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10.
Gain of 6 yards, stops the clock.
Well, they're going to spot it now at the 43, but still a 1st down as Ruskowski lopes in with the play.
8 out of 14 on the night. 98 yards for Ruskowski throwing the ball.
3 receivers to the wide side of the field, the left. Ruskowski scrambling as he looks to the right. And he is sacked. And the clock keeps running as Ruskowski taken down for the first sack of the night for Micah Yoder and the Northridge defense.
That would have been a good one to throw away.
Yoder, a member of the basketball team, used some good agility that time to get in and make the hit. And it'll be 2nd and 15.
Lost to 4 yards. 22 yards net rushing tonight for Wiskowski.
Well, now they change it to 17 on the scoreboard. Here's a handoff up the middle. And I believe that was Driscoll on the carry that time. John Driscoll, the sophomore, getting back up near the original line of scrimmage, the 43-yard line. That'll set up 3rd and 10 for St. Joe.
Well, probably not. They would think that Flanagan might get it. I don't think Flanagan's able to perform, Chuck. I think that shoulder injury has really negated his effort here in the second half.
Well, they've also, with these kind of situations, they use Flanagan as a slot receiver. He's over here on the left-hand side. Wiskowski, down he goes. The hit made and a great defensive stand by Northridge. Ricky Howie with another hit in the backfield, his second one tonight. And 4th down, and the game might be on the line right here for St. Joe as you'll take another look on the Bethel College replay.
Going to be about a 6-yard loss on the play, 2nd sack, and man, they took him down hard.
And it looks like they're going to bring the punting unit out with Andy Hahn.
Not sure you have a lot of choice. I mean, 4.5 to go, you need 10 points, but you got to count on your defense to get a stop.
Low snap. Hahn was able to get it out of there. And Northridge will just let it roll. St. Joe downs it at the Northridge 22, but that's fine with the Raiders. They're happy to get the ball back and chew up some clock. 41 yards on the kick.
Looked like Tom Wogelman looked like Lou Holzer. Get away from it. Only a couple things can happen fielding a punt. A couple of them are bad.
So 1st and 10 from the 22, and now Northridge would just love to swallow up the last 4:12 of this one and get to 2-0 for the 4th time in Tom Wogelman's 5 years at the helm of the Northridge Raiders.
4:12 left to go in the contest. I don't believe that Northridge is going to try to throw the football here, Chuck. So St. Joe, you might see him with 8 guys in the box, but you know, Hooley is such a veteran. He sees 8 guys in the box, he's liable to find a way to get the ball in the air.
Well, Julio handoff here. It's Troyer trying to get around the outside. St. Joe is there to meet him as James Eck, the cornerback, comes over to make the stop. But Troyer still able to pick up about 4 on the play, maybe even 5. It'll be 2nd down.
54 yards rushing for Troyer. A couple of things pretty obvious tonight, Chuck. St. Joe's going to need to develop more depth as the season goes along. He's got a lot of guys in there both ways, and the cramps, even on a cool night like this, down about 60 degrees, it's still having an effect.
It's Troyer again. Boy, Charlie McFadden looked like he got held on that play, and the flag comes out.
He's waving his arms to the official, and the official finally threw the flag, and this one will bring the play back.
You could see the hands up around the shoulder pads, and McFadden trying to keep the outside arm free as outside linebacker is supposed to do. Awfully tough to do when you're being held, and there's the call.
Hold me, hold me.
Okay, that's enough of that.
Okay. Carl Carter, who was that guy who had that song? I can't remember.
Well, whoever it is wants to turn it back in right now.
He'd like to keep it.
2nd and 16 from the 17-yard line.
St. Joe really in a must-stop situation right here.
Hooley from the gun. Loads up and throws, and it's over the head of Connor Utley, and that'll stop the clock with 3:11 to go.
2 things happen when you pass the ball. One of them is an incompletion that stops the clock. Then the other thing you don't want to do in this situation. St. Joe can get a stop here. They could get the ball around midfield. Try to do the figuring of what could turn around for the Indians. But right now, Northridge has done a good job of taking care of their business.
Good to see Michael Godfrey back in the game right now for St. Joe after he left with that leg problem. It's an end around. Drew Schwartz trying to get to the outside. Schwartz gets knocked to terra firma at the 25, and a flag comes out at the end of the play.
Oh, if that's a flag on St. Joe after the play, that's going to be just an absolute tragedy.
It looked like St. Joe was going to get the stop and turn the ball over on downs, but let's wait for Adam Tomlinson's call here. Personal foul against St. Joe, and that'll be 15 yards and a first down for Northridge. Brought to you by Jimbo and Company Transport. Brian Witten can't believe the call. Let's see if we see what it is. Helmet to helmet is what they'll call right there.
I thought the penalty came right there on 18, diving on the player on the sidelines.
Well, that could be too.
There's
the flag right there. So the late hit called on the safety for St. Joe, and it'll move the ball up to the 40-yard line. The official's going to go over and explain it to Brian Witten.
Yeah, I'm not sure Coach Witten saw the extracurricular after the play. That's a tough one to swallow, but I do think it was the right call.
And now they move it up to the 45 of St. Joe.
I wonder if the St. Joe bench.
Yep, that's an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty against St. Joe. And Brian Witten telling everybody to move back from the sideline. The frustration starting to spill out for the Indians, who are on the cusp of another 0-2 start heading into the Holy War next week against Mishawaka Marion.
9 penalties now for 78 yards against St. Joe. They've had 6 here in the second half, and composure's kind of taken a hike in that far sideline.
Meanwhile, Mason Troyer runs for about 4 yards, and a timeout called by St. Joe. It's first. 2:49 to go, and Northridge leads it 20-10 against St. Joe on 46. This edition of the 46 Game of the Week brought to you in part by the Indiana High School Athletic Association, partnering with TV 46 for 27 years. Moon over Middlebury tonight. It's a waning crescent. We'll have a new moon here by the middle of the week, and hopefully by about the time we get up to Niles, we can look at one of those big old possum hunting moons. St. Joe trying to get the ball away from Mason Troyer, but Drew Boyer unable to do that as he made the tackle. And Troyer brought down at the line of scrimmage. It'll be 3rd and 6, but now the clock, a big enemy of St. Joe as the clock goes down to 2.5 minutes.
Imagineering Finishing Technologies is an Indiana company that impacts industries worldwide. Over half a century of quality and excellence has made us the industry knowledge source. We support the efforts of the young people in tonight's game, working toward the same goal as ours, and that is a great finish.
Troyer trying to get around the left side. Connery in pursuit, couldn't get there, and Troyer gets the first down. It's sponsored by Jimbo and Company Transport, and give a lot of credit to this Northridge offensive line. Tom Wagaman made no bones about it going into this game. He felt they had to out-physical St. Joe, and they have done that.
233 yards on the ground tonight for Northridge.
Northridge will play Wawasee here next week, and the Raiders will be favored in that one. And a team that only won 3 games all of last year could very well start this season 3-0. Road gets a little tougher after that when you got to go to Plymouth and Warsaw. Handoff up the middle. Connor Graber through a hole. Graber still on his feet. Graber down to the 8-yard line. What a run. "26 yards for Connor Graber.
162 yards on 18 carries now for Graber.
That's a career high for the senior. We mentioned earlier, 7th in the state in wrestling last year. An academic all-state selection in that sport. Just a terrific young man. We'll probably have Bo Hunt talking to him when this one's over. 1st and goal from the 7.
1:32 to go, and I tell you what, Tom Wogelman's team getting rid of a lot of ghosts from last year. They battled all year last year, just didn't have the size and the depth that they needed to compete with some of the bigger schools and teams their own size. They really worked hard in the offseason. Very impressed with this group.
Hooley from the gun. Hands it off. Graber trying to get through tacklers again. Gets to the 4-yard line. Casey Connery in on the stop along with J.P. Lewis. But Graber has been the man out there on the field tonight, approaching 200 yards.
Northridge has thrown for 64 yards. 5 out of 8 throwing the ball. But, Chuck, they had one pick, and that came from the backup quarterback, Julius Graber, on kind of a trick play. But other than that, they've done a good job, and I love the way they picked up their coach.
2nd and goal from the 4. It's Troyer to the end zone. Touchdown, Northridge. Mason Troyer with his 2nd touchdown of the year. It's sponsored by the Middlebury Community Schools, and the Northridge Raiders are going to go to 2-0 on the year with an impressive second half here against St. Joe. Northridge was able to keep St. Joe off the scoreboard in the second half, and the best way they did it was to keep the ball out of their hands.
Graber threw a great block there. He is a force in that backfield.
Nolan Laughlin's kick, sponsored by TK Steel, is up and good. 33 seconds to go, and Northridge leads it 27-10.
Partner, this is our 3rd game of the year, 2nd weekend of the year, but I'll tell you what, we've seen a couple of running backs in
Bronson Yoder, Ricky Roca, Mark Brownlee, Connor Graber.
Roca in the NIC, but you think about those running backs we've seen in the Northern Lakes Conference. That's going to be a battle for the best runner there.
All right, well, let's bring in Mr. Running Back down there on the sidelines, Bo Hunt. So let me give you this quartet to choose from. You got Brayton Yoder at Northwood, Mark Brownlee, Ricky Roca, Connor Graber. Rank them for me.
Combine them all together. That's good.
And you got Bo Hunt.
I knew you were going to take the coward's way out. That's why you picked it. Reminder, we're going to see probably some more good running backs next week when we go down to Fisher Field in the Lake City and see Plymouth at Warsaw, the oldest rivalry in all of northern Indiana. You'll see it Friday night at 11, Saturday morning at 9. It's interesting because all 4 have different styles of running. There's no question Brayton Yoder is the fastest of the 4 of them. He's got the breakaway speed. But if I just needed 3 yards at a time, I'd probably go to the guy we saw tonight, Connor Graber. Squib kick here. St. Joe needs to just fall on it, and they do at the 34-yard line. And then Roca and Brownlee, to me, both have kind of the blend between Graber and Yoder.
And it's interesting to see what you do when you have a quarterback maybe who's a little more prolific throwing the ball. But, boy, I love what Brownlee did. I mean, tough loss to Elkhart Central last week, but he's a quality back. And he, you know, a lot of these guys are going both ways.
Well, that's the other thing, too. Connor Graber plays both ways. Ricky Roca played both ways. Brayton Yoder plays a little bit of defense. He's a defensive back, though. It's a little bit different than being a linebacker. 32 seconds left in this one. 27-10 your score. It's Roskowski looking to throw. Lobs it up there, and the catch not quite made by Isaac Romans, the tight end, but a flag comes in late. And there might have been a late hit on that one or even a spearing call.
Roskowski's got that walk going about him. I just took a lick, and I'm not sure which way I'm going.
So the officials will talk this one over.
Been a lot of penalties in the second half, and a couple of crucial ones for St. Joe. Obviously, the unsportsmanlike conduct followed a late hit out of bounds, and 30 yards in penalties are the key point. We're a big part of that 78-yard drive for Northridge.
Personal foul hit with the head on Northridge, and that'll be a 15-yard penalty. Watch again as Romans, and there's the head-to-head contact by Connor Utley. I don't think that was his intent, but nevertheless, that's what happened. and a 15-yard penalty will move the ball up to the 49-yard line. Remember, St. Joe looked like it was going for the game-tying drive in the third quarter, and they had a series of penalties down here at the Northridge end, wound up moving them all the way back into Northridge or into their own territory, and that was really when the game turned again.
Yeah.
Roskowski wants to throw. Now is going to tuck it under and run, slide at the 45-yard line. St. Joe will not bother with timeouts here. They're just going to let the clock run down and expire. And the Northridge Raiders will go to 2-0 on the year. St. Joe looks like they want to hurry up and try to run one more play, but they didn't get it off. The clock expires, and the Northridge Raiders can celebrate a victory over the St. Joe Indians. They even the series at 2-2 with a 27-10 triumph here in Middlebury tonight. When we come back, it's the Thor Industries post-game show, and we'll have it for you next on 46.
Thanks for watching the WHME TV 46 High School Game of the Week, brought to you by
Welcome everybody to the Thor Industries post-game show. The traffic heading out of Middlebury and the home fans going home happy. They get a 27-10 win from the Northridge Raiders over the St. Joe Indians tonight. Connor Graber is our IU South Bend fulfilling the promise player of the game, but standing by on the field with Bo Hunt is Northridge head coach Tom Wagaman.
Coach, you guys start out 2-0 in the season. You guys did it on the ground tonight. Just talk about tonight's victory.
I tell you what, you have got to look at what our offensive line did, just creating great openings. And then Connor Graber and Mason Troyer, they love the number one. They're good friends. They will block for one another. When you got that, as far as them just running downhill, it is a good combination for us tonight.
Speaking of Graber, I mean, not only did he do it on the offensive side, he did it on the defensive side tonight as well.
Yeah, that was, I'm so proud of how our defense responded. We gave it over, they credit St. Joe. They had a couple of good, nice turnovers on us. They were threatening. And that series we had right down here about the middle part of the third quarter, defense just stepped it up, did a great job. This was really, you look at all the way across the board, special teams played well. We improved so much over last week at Adams, and I just think this was here, everybody collectively playing a good team football game.
You talked about turning that corner, and tonight you guys seem to, as you talked about. Is this how you guys move forward?
Well, I mean, it's just taking steps. I mean, right now we've had two really nice non-conference games against two quality opponents in South Bend. Now begins really the climb. Everybody in the NLC wants to start on the top rung of that ladder, and so we got to make sure have a great week of practice and welcome Wawasee to our place here next week.
Tom, thanks for having us.
Hey, thank you.
Back to you guys.
He has already started the game prep for next week, hasn't he?
He certainly has.
Tom Wagaman doing a great job with this Northridge program. Our electrifying play of the game brought to you by the electrical workers of Local 153, supplied by our player of the game, Connor Graber. This was an outstanding run that kind of helped break things open.
And when you get a start like this, you're going to have a solid night. He was close to 100 yards in the first half, got well over that in the second half. They ran for over 250 yards on the ground tonight, over 300 yards of offense to just about 170 for St. Joe. So they dominated really in the statistics, and that turnover in the first half kept it closer than maybe it would have been otherwise.
And then our Indiana Criminal Justice Institute woe stop of the game comes from the St. Joe defense. A play that nearly turned the game around in the second quarter as they got a stop on 4th and 1. It was 14-0 at this point. By the time the Joes were done forcing a turnover, it was 14-10. So a nice job by the St. Joe defense, but it just couldn't weather the storm in the second half as Northridge wears down the Tribe with a punishing ground game and wins at 27-10. St. Joe takes on arch rival Marion next week, and Northridge will be here at Raider Field to take on the Wawasee Warriors. Our 46 crew did another outstanding job bringing you this one, led by the crazy one, Dean Korsmo. A reminder that next Friday night, we'll take into Northern Lakes Conference action. The conference opener down at Fisher Field in Warsaw as Phil Jensen's Warsaw Tigers take on his good buddy John Barron and the Plymouth Rockies in Northern Indiana's oldest rivalry. We'll have it for you Friday night at 11 and Saturday morning at 9. Now from our broadcast partners, the Hall of Famers, Bob Nagel and Bo Hunt, it's Chuck Braby reminding you can follow 46 Sports on Twitter and on Facebook. The final score, Northridge 27, St. Joe 10. So long from the middle of Middlebury.